All right, and we're on. Good evening, everybody. How you guys doing? We're not going to have Kyle on tonight, but it's going to be me, Jamie. Rob's actually on video, and Uncle Jim will be joining us here shortly, hopefully. Hey, how you guys?
Hey, guys. How you doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm not bad. Get myself situated, put my legs up here. Feet propped up, comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to be long before I'm going to recline this thing. Take a nap or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I finally got a chance. I don't know where everybody else in the rest of the country is. I know you guys are all in Georgia, but down here, I know, as you know, Nathan, we have had a massive boatload of rain. And finally, for the last 3 days, we've had clear weather. So I finally was able to get 2 acres mowed and got some shooting in today. So it was a good day.
Yeah, I can imagine because, I mean, it's a little warm, but that's the Georgia way. If it's not raining, it's hot. And the gnats are stupid.
Yeah, as long as I kept the mower going, I was good. But anytime I stopped, like to take a drink of water or something, they'd be right in my face immediately.
Yeah.
How about you, Jamie? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing better than I deserve, brother.
I don't know about that, but
Kyle's gone off shooting this weekend. Y'all talking about rain down there? I went out to get supper a little while ago and brought it back to the wife and the kids, and we had a beautiful rainbow up here. But I'm just wondering how bad Kyle's getting rained on down there in pretty much middle Georgia, western middle Georgia.
Like I said to him in our conversation, he's still north of Macon, so technically he's in the Yankee part of the state.
I was looking at Slack the other day, and James Pollard, are you out there? He had joined the Georgia Shooters Connection. So I sent him a text and asked him, well, what part of the state are you in? He said, I'm one of them damn Yankees. Nathan just let me in the group because I asked about it. And I'm like, you're still up there. You're not a damn Yankee. I said, damn Yankees are the ones that come down here to stay.
That would be me. Yeah. I'm a damn Yankee.
How long you been down here?
I've been down here about 12 years. I'm in a weird situation because my parents live down here, my grandparents, my brother, my whole family, but I was born and raised in Delaware. So.
Yeah, well, you're naturalized by now, sure.
Yeah, well, not only that, I always, just in case I want to mess with one of my Southern compatriots, I like to mention the fact that I am actually where I was born and raised is actually south of the Mason-Dixon line. And if a Southerner ever picked up a map, they would understand that. But, you know.
Here's the way to know. This is like 100% verifiable truth of the way to know whether or not you're in the South. If you walk into a restaurant and you order a tea, if they ask you sweet or unsweet, you are not in the South.
I don't know, but it seems to be pretty common down here. I'm seeing it more and more. I mean, it depends. Like, if I'm going to Betty's Diner, no. But if I go to, like, some kind of, like, you know, some kind of place where people have lip rings and such, yeah, they're asking.
Well, I mean, consider your source.
Hey, Valdosta is a big city, brother.
It really is, relatively speaking. We're expecting Uncle Jim. I see Uncle Jim in the chat. And Uncle Jim, Nathan has sent you a link to your email, the one that you gave me today on Slack. So if you'll go check your email, you should have that link to join us tonight. Uncle Jim is going to grace us with his presence. We're very pleased to have him as our special guest this week to kind of take up Kyle's slack. He's out shooting, so we need some comic relief, and Lord knows I'm not it. So I'm a lot of things, but a comedian is not one of them.
I guess I didn't recognize the weather situation that Uncle Jim's dealing with. It looks like he's just about as bad as we are.
Where's he at?
I think he's in Utah. I think over with everybody else. I think somewhere like that. Utah, Wyoming, I don't know, somewhere over there.
JCM 45, James Pollard, they're all bragging about their weather in the chat room.
Yeah, I see that. So James bragging about it being 73 degrees. Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, you know what? That's great. I just remember when it was 73 here during the winter.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice this time of year to be bragging about it being 73, but you know, like you said, when it was 73 here, I put my first set of summer crops in the ground, and they're just getting ready to turn over. I'm getting ready to pick corn probably within the next 2 weeks. It should be done, and I'll be ready for my second set of summer crops, and they're probably just now getting their first set in the ground. So,
yeah, I remember being up in Delaware, and I had a lot of friends that were farmers, and I was involved in it and everything else, and there were seasons, man, where I mean, it is getting to be May before we can ever actually get into anywhere because it's sopping wet. It was cold, and so I mean, it's interesting in Georgia where I mean, February, if you're in March, you're getting late.
Yeah.
And up there, I mean, there was times when it was May before we were able to get in because it would start raining, it wouldn't stop. You can't get any tractors in the field to do anything. So yeah, it is.
I remember the day I killed the biggest deer I've killed so far. It was like we went out in the dark, middle of the night, got in our tree stands. It's like 26 degrees, pretty chilly. November the 13th, it's on a Friday, and we're getting ready to go get lunch. It's 11 o'clock, and I'm starting to get warm at this point, 11 o'clock. And this doe comes bouncing through there, and she keeps looking over her shoulder, and I'm like, there's a buck coming. And I was typing a text to my buddy to let's go get some lunch because the peak time on the calendar was going to be at 2 o'clock that afternoon, peak feeding time. So I was ready to go get lunch and get back. I want to be back in my stand by 2. But this big buck had other ideas, and at 11 o'clock in the morning, I shot the biggest buck I've ever killed. Got down out of my stand and dragged him out. We got him up in the truck with shirt sleeves on, and we drove him to the processor. Got him there by probably 12:30, 1 o'clock. 74, 75 degrees by that time of the day.
That's a big shift, brother. That's a big shift.
Yeah, that's why we say, particularly in North Georgia, if you don't like the weather, wait a minute.
Now, I mean, it's funny down here, how deer processing is very different than it is in other climates because, I mean, down here you can't leave them out.
No.
Where up there, I mean, it's always, it's usually pretty cold. You kill a deer, you can go up in, gut it real fast, hang it up, and then go back out. And I mean, it's just, you'll stay there hung up. I mean, down here, they get them in ice chests pretty much so as quick as they can in chunks.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about, doing the nuisance permit stuff like I do is the fact that, I mean, you literally have got maybe 2 hours to get that thing recovered and quartered at least and into a cooler because, even if you shoot, a deer or a hog or whatnot at, say, 4 o'clock in the morning, it's still 75 degrees here. Yeah. So, you can't have it sitting out there for more than an hour or so before it's going to start to go bad.
All right. Let me hold on there. Jim's got to see if I can send that email again.
Oh, he's got his hammers out. You're in trouble.
We got a topic tonight.
Uncle Georgia Boy 44 had a couple on his. He put a video out today, and I was texting him earlier today and wondering if he was going to be able to join us yet. I know that generally Vacation Bible School is over with on Thursday night, but he's still got a lot of work to do before he preaches Sunday morning. So he was suggesting that we talk about bullet casting for revolvers. And he also suggested that we might want to talk about what's the best hunting gun he said that would start a big brawl. And I told him that we're not going to start any fights until he's here with us to help us moderate those type things. I really like him. I can't wait to get him on the air with us and to hopefully meet up with him sometime. You know, we're in the same half of the state anyway.
Yeah, I talked to him earlier. He said he was hopefully going to stop by chat for a little while tonight, but he's not going to be able to make it. He's just got too much going on. Just get back. What we said yesterday. That sounds good to me, Jamie. The topic of casting for revolvers. I know this isn't exactly in Rob's wheelhouse, but man, that is a deep, deep, deep subject, and I've gone through some tribulations, so I'm more than willing to chat about that. And I think with Jim just getting into it, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I love to have something that kind of hits everybody's needs there, though.
One thing before we get too deep, Amuser, do you have handy what you did for me yesterday to share with? Can you screen share that? Do you have it?
No, I don't. Well, no, because it's on my other computer, and I'm live streaming on the laptop, so I can't screen share it.
Let me see what I can come up with here.
If you go to the side of the Google Hangouts chat, it should, one of the options that up there on the top left should give you an option to screen share. And if you pull it up, you'd be able to screen share a video or your screen, your actual screen. But like I said, I'm on my laptop, so I don't have it.
Okay, I can pull it up, but then I can't. Okay, hold on just a minute.
He exited. Dang it, Jamie. Well, that was the wrong button, Jamie.
Yeah, Scotsman, I agree. Revolvers do kick ass. I'm a revolver guy first and foremost for our handguns. I'm really starting to get more into pistols. That's what we were talking about. We've been talking about some of the stuff we were talking with the striker fire and stuff like that earlier. Yeah, I'm a revolver guy by nature. And what else I've been found has been interesting because I was watching some the Slim Cowboys videos about the new Smiths. I have a lot more Rugers than I thought I did in comparison to Smiths because I haven't been able to go out and just go buy a new Smith.
I really enjoy. I enjoy the Ruger revolvers personally. I don't have a problem with them. I think they make good revolvers.
They do. I just like the refinement of the Smiths for certain things. Like, I mean, big bore type revolvers. It depends on what it is. Like, I've got my 41 mag Blackhawk. I love that gun, but I would also really like to have a Smith & Wesson 57. But that would be a different type of thing for me.
Right. I mean, the Smiths are definitely a step up in quality, in my opinion, from the Rugers. So, if you're not like myself, who's not a revolver guy like you are, like my GP 101 does everything I need it to do for me. Being a 357 with a, 4-inch barrel, I think it's got. It's perfect for what I need it for.
Yeah, that's kind of, like I said, that is kind of the perfect gun for most, I think a lot of people. 357, 4-inch 357 is just perfect. Did you get it figured out how to screen share there, Jamie?
I'm afraid to try to do that. Hold on just a minute.
On the top left-hand corner of the screen, Jamie, when you move over to the left, there should be a green arrow in a box, or a white arrow in a green box. It should say screen share. There
I'm
you
just
go.
screen sharing you.
Minimize me. Minimize that. There you go. Now it's up there.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Hold on just 1 second and let's do that. How about that? Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Amuser did this for me yesterday, guys. That's going to be my new channel logo. I think I'm probably going to be dropping the SW off the end. Telling the guys yesterday. I just feel like I need to not step on Smith and Wesson's toes, and I need not to. I love. Hey, Scotsman, how you like my new logo? He had to show up when I was saying this, didn't he? I don't want much to. I don't want to step on Smith and Wesson's toes, and I don't want to give them any free advertising or whatever. I just, you know what I mean. Come on, guys, help me out here. How's that?
Down at the bottom of your screen, it should say "Stop sharing" in a blue box. There you go.
So I like that. You did some good work there, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Glad you enjoy it.
Okay, Nathan.
Yes, sir.
Georgia boys wanting us to talk about measuring our cylinder throats.
Yes, sir. That is part of the fun of trying to cast 4 revolvers for sure. Because if you don't know your cylinder throat diameter, then you don't know what you're doing. You just might get lucky. I just sent another. Jim, I just sent you. Jim, I just sent you one through Slack as well as through the email again. We'll just keep working at it. Yeah, that's a big deal, man. What I do is I cast a. I don't have a perfect method for that. I cast a soft lead bullet, and then what I do is I take it over and I swedge it, or with I just basically mash on it a bit with my hammer and an anvil until I make sure that I've got it farther diameter, or the diameter is larger than what the cylinder is. I do that for every hole, and then I push each one through, and then I measure, and that's, I mean, what you want to get is you want to get it. Consensus is from snug to 1/1000th over your cylinder diameter, or your cylinder diameter. That
Scotsman's got his dirty mind going. Are you checking out the chat?
no throw talk here, huh?
Scotsman's gonna crack me up. I'm gonna be laughing till I'm crying here if I'm not careful.
Freezing.
Okay, let's do this. This is my 4-inch 357 Magnum. I showed it to you last time. It's the EAA Vindicator. And I guess all you guys know the parts, but what we need to do is right here, we need to measure this part. The front end of the cylinder is the cylinder throat, correct?
Yeah, well, the front, when you say the front, one of the things that I'll do if I'm being really lazy and I know I'm going to follow it up later is I'll take a dial caliper, I'll put it in there. Because you should get the smallest, but it doesn't always work. Sometimes you have right where your cylinder throat, there's like an angle inside the cylinder throat. So your cartridge comes in. So if your cylinder throat's shaped like this, your cartridge is going to come in right here, and then your bullet's going to start. Sometimes right at the end of that angle, that kind of slight ramp that's there, there'll be a tight spot. I've seen that with a few guns, not many. So I push that slug all the way through to make sure that I got the smallest diameter that's in there. And this really becomes a problem with Rugers more than it does Smiths. In my case, in my experience anyway.
Yeah, I've heard guys talking about it. Let's see if I can get a measurement. And you got to measure each and every one of them, correct?
Yeah, because they're going to be different. Because the way that the way that the mills work, the mills are actually in parallel, so there's 2 mills. So you're going to get 2 bits that are going to go into that cylinder, bam, bam, bam. So you could have 3 holes that are one size and 3 holes that are another size. Now, there might be other types of bits that are 3s but I've never seen where all of them are absolutely uniform, except for actually some old my model 19 Smith. All of them are uniform. Every hole is the exact same size, but everything else I have, they're different. Hey, we got you. Ladies and gentlemen, the king has arrived.
I got a sideways camera.
I can't believe I'm already out of coffee. I'm already out of coffee, and Willie hasn't said anything yet, so I don't even think he's here. Yeah, so that's...
Does 360 sound about right?
360 a little well, it's a little loose, but it's better than being a little tight. It depends on if you're at 360. Here's what you're going to have: a lot of your 357 sizers aren't going to be 360; they're going to be 358. So you're going to have to actually get a sizing die. And the other thing you run into with a 360 throat diameter, every Lyman mold isn't going to work for you, just because they're all too small. The old Lyman molds that you can find, maybe you can find one of those that drops a little bit bigger, but new Lyman, for whatever reason, they decided that they were going to start throwing or dropping their bullets. Like, for instance, if you get a 32 bullet, it'll drop at 311 or 312 instead of 314. That's technically kind of the right size, but the problem is it doesn't actually work in by the time you actually go to the throat diameter. So yeah, you're gonna have to find a sizing die, Jamie, that's big enough, and you're gonna hopefully drop bullets. Now, powder coating has been amazing because you can take a 312 size, or for you a 358 size bullet, and you powder coat it, and you got your extra 2000s to get a snuggish fit. There's a lot of people that have been in that boat. I'm in that boat. My 32 mag that I'm going to be working on as soon as I finish this damn room, there was 3 or 4 bullet designs I couldn't use because I couldn't get the bullet big enough. And now I'm going to be able to do that with PC, so I'm pretty excited about that. Kenny's in.
I'm getting 360 on every single one of them. I got 361 or 362 on one, but most of them are 360. Okay, then you got your cylinder throats here. Then you have the forcing cone, which is the first part of the barrel, correct?
Yep.
And so then you have to, it's going to be hard to measure the forcing cone, particularly at the most inside part. There ain't no way to do that. So then you have to go to the muzzle.
Slug the barrel. You're gonna have to slug the barrel, because with a Smith in particular, not knowing exactly the year, the tightest part of that barrel is neither going to be the muzzle nor where the forcing cone is. It's actually going to be where the threads are for where the barrel goes into the frame, typically. Okay. So you're going to have to slug the barrel. You're going to have to get a slug that is past your groove diameter of pure lead. Kind of give us a very, very light lube, maybe a little bit very light with one shot, and drive that through there. It's
being a hunting rifle kind of guy, that kind of goes against my grain, because to slug this barrel, you're going to have to go from
muzzle,
muzzle in. So, and when I'm cleaning a deer rifle or hunting rifle or any bolt action rifle, any rifle, you pretty much are taught to go from the breech end when possible.
Oh, absolutely. You never want to go through the muzzle in anything, out of practice, because, you damage the muzzle and you're done. Accuracy for that gun is over until you get it remuzzled. But it is, I'm telling you, that is the only way really to, when you're casting, you have to do it. And then what I do actually is I take those slugs and I throw them in the box that the gun came in for the Rugers. I mean, just so I always have them in there.
Yeah, you always got them right there handy.
Yep. And the other one I did is 2 guns I've had in the past. I've had one hole that's been big, And what I did is I took a little bit of white out and just marked on the front of the cylinder, not on the bluing, just on the very front where it's usually not polished blued. And that way I could just tell when I was loading it. I just wouldn't load that hole because I usually shoot 5 anyway. Because it makes a difference, man. You'll have flyers and you don't know why, and you find out that you got one hole that's big, and it's causing some issues.
Wake up, a Mooser.
I'm here.
Here you go. Have a Coke and a smile. He hates me, doesn't he? What happened to Uncle Jim? I mean, he was there. I saw hands.
I think Jerry took away for a little bit.
Thought he was trying to get his camera situated, but no, I think we're still staring at the same thing we've been staring at for a while.
Maybe Chair Donkey got him. I'm not sure. Yeah, once you figure out your sizes, this is where things have gotten, in my opinion, things have gotten appreciably easier and better over the past couple years. Once you have your sizes, you have powder coat to get your bullet a little bit bigger if you need to. You've got Al at NOE making sizing dies in every diameter that you could possibly think of. Where before you had to go with what was Lyman or what our CBS had, and then with the Lee, it was the same thing with the Lee. And I don't know about you guys, but if it's gas check, the Lee push through doesn't work with a darn for me for gas checking. It just, I mean, you got to put them in base first, which then it's a pain.
You're not going to believe this, but I got to tell you, the 35 Remington series I'm working on, that bullet is not a gas check design. And I have been forcing gas checks on that with a Lee Sizer 358 with a little spray lube. After they're powder coated, I put the gas check on, push them through there, no problem.
Man, that's surprising because I've got, for instance, like my 41 mag, I use 416 gas checks for it, and I can't push them on. Like I just can't. You just can't push them on square at all.
I have had them where they're not, where they look like, you know, that painting where the clocks are melting, you know, off the side of the tables.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll get a gas check that looks like that.
Melissa's in the chat. Hi, how are you? Thanks for coming. A&A's here. Good to see you guys. Fuzzy Fork. Watched some of your work I think it was yesterday or the day before. Glad to see everybody out. Saw Jim Finger for a minute, so he's around-ish.
Hey, Vanessa.
I thought we were talking, this was a Nat chat. No?
Somebody take a picture of that.
That's going to be a meme.
See, I never should have invited him yet last night. I should have waited until.
You were asking for it. I know. You're pushing it.
Oh, that's great.
That's great, man.
You're going to build a wall around here with your Georgia Nets.
The Nats got Elvis. Oh, no.
That is just amazing.
I hope Kyle watches this. He'll see the replay, I'm sure.
They're crossing the border. Mm.
Oh, man.
Oh, man, it's coming on red cheeked.
Anyway, Scotsman, this revolver I'm talking, I've been measuring is not a Smith. It's just an EAA. It's just my throw it in the backpack, take it to the range kind of thing.
You look at Uncle Jim, Jamie. He's actually got a fly racket, and that's about right because you're not going to hit one gnat with that thing. You're going to get a whole nest of them in your face at one time, and you need something about that size to even think about taking care of them.
I was going to challenge someone to some gnat mitten. A wicked backhand over here. Wait,
Did he just say gnat mitten? I think we've reached a new low.
hey, where's Elvis?
Uh,
Got Elvis.
Elvis is about 3 or 4 hours north and east of here.
Hmm. Well, the gnats got him too. We're going to build a wall. We're building a wall.
Oh,
We're building a wall. Jim, you got me laughing till I'm crying, brother.
Wait a minute now. Who's going to pay for that wall?
Gnats are.
We're going to make Georgia pay for that wall. Sooner or later.
Well, if you'll send him a bill right now, you probably get some promises because the election's fixing to happen. So they'll promise you anything right now. Okay, Jim, come on, pull that down and let's. Hey, there's Jerry's lighter.
You're done already? No.
There's
All right.
Jerry's lighter.
Yeah. What does it say? I forget what it says.
Deal with it, Jerry.
You're on your own. You can read it, huh?
Yeah, I can read it.
What about magnets? Magnets. Didn't get that one. Okay, bad. Ta-da-ta.
I didn't get that one.
And looking up, I guess I think I screenshotted that. I think I've got it.
I'm going to make a meme out of it later. I'm just going to come back and clip it right out of the video and make a meme out of it.
All right. Let me get a piece of tape and cover the phone and resituate because I'm not sophisticated. I cover the phone with tape and then move.
That's great. Oh God, that's great.
Nathan, Armament and Axis has got a question about powder coating if it fouls the barrel at all.
Hey, well, here's what I found so far. It doesn't, and it can actually clean. I've had it actually look like it's cleaning copper fouling out. Now, here's the thing: if you over pressurize or overspeed, actually, is a better way to put it. If you overspeed a lead bullet, so you overspeed the lead. All right, your speed is a product of your lead mixture. If you've got like pure lead and you shoot it at 1,400 feet per second, you're going to have lead because you're stripping the actual the barrel. So you're stripping the bullet. It's kind of not sticking with the barreling, and it's going to lead. So if you stick within that region, then the PC will pretty much keep from having leading issues. Now, like I said, sometimes you have to figure out where that's going to be at. Now, if you run with like I do, I use clip-on wheel weights, and if I'm going to go, I'm going to do like a Magnum type load, like for my 41 mag. I do clip-on wheel weights, water dropped, powder coated, and I really probably don't even need the gas checks. I have them anyway. In part, it helps with accuracy for long range, but mainly. No, the powder coat really works. It makes it so much easier than the days of standard sizing and lubing. Because you would chase your tail sometimes and people would tell you that it's your lube, even though no one really seems to understand how the lube worked. It's crazy. So the powder coating is along with the new products that are available, your ability to get molds in exactly the right size that you want, the ability to be able to get the right sizing die, powder coating. The past like 5 years, in my opinion, have been a giant leap forward in bullet casting technology. And I think you're going to see more and more and more reloaders go into casting because the process has become so much less wizardry and so much more just standard practice.
And if you need a bigger bullet, you can always powder coat them again, put another layer on there.
Well,
But
Armament and Axis brought up the point that, copper will eventually foul a barrel as well. And I believe that's basically the theory behind, Federal's poly-tip bullets. The poly-coated bullets is basically the same thing. Is you're using that as a lubricant through the barrel, essentially. And, it's just going to prevent you from fouling the barrel with copper, in theory. We'll see, long term, I don't think we know yet, but.
And he asked about, not to push the hottest load. I don't necessarily think that's true. I just think you have to have, if you have if you start to get into the nuts and bolts of it, you start to get into the weeds with it, and you get your bullet fit right. You use a powder coated gas check bullet, and you get your tin mixture and all that stuff right. You can push that thing as hard as you can anything else. I really do believe that. I haven't run into any problems pushing my 41 mag pretty damn hard. I've run some 44s pretty hard. Now, when you get into rifles, this all kind of changes because you can really get some speeds. And like I said earlier, you start to increase the speed past the bullet's ability to be able to hold the rifling. And that's when you run into issues with powder coating. Now, if you're not powder coating, there's gas cutting and base melt sort of, and code crashing. There's all kinds of shit that can go wrong that can cause leading that I've had at certain times cause leading. I had one gun that I'm not saying that it wasn't aligned well, but the bullet, when it would come through the forcing cone, it would come in a little low, right? And this is what the forcing cone's supposed to do, but no matter how hard the lead was, it wasn't going to stop it from bleeding. And it was just there was one hole on one cylinder that did that, and it made the gun, that hole, unusable. So powder coating would actually probably stop it from leading, because if you've ever seen anybody do a smash test, it probably would stop the leading. It's still going to be inaccurate as all get out, but.
Vanessa had a question about what are our favorite powder coat colors, and I just want to tell her about sometimes our favorite colors are not necessarily our favorite powder coat colors, because when we're trying powder coats, we're looking for the best coverage. Yes, Vanessa, the powder coat takes the place of the lube. We don't have to lube and powder coat. This one right here is one, if y'all can see it. This is a Eastwood mirror green. Can y'all see it? There you go, Vanessa. Can you see that? It coats real well. I really like it. I've only tried Eastwood powder coats. So, and there's a powder by the pound. I know that some of them, well, Kyle and I think Georgia Boy both buy some stuff from them. I think doesn't Full Ed Taco, doesn't he buy some of those? But basically what we're looking for is a powder coat that we can dump bullets in and shake it up for a minute or two and get a good even coat that's going to build up some static and cover your bullets real well. And I put a video out not too long ago about, it's called Powder Coats and T-shirts, and I tried the dark blue, the Eastwood Ford dark blue. The copper penny works real well. Bacon discovered that one for us. And I bought a new one that I wanted to try, was B-Twin orange. I was expecting it to be like the Harley Davidson orange color. And yeah, it didn't work out real well, but then I took those bullets and put them in some Ford light blue, and they turned out really wonderful. They're the ones that you see in the 35 Remington series right now. Fixing to go back to those yellow ones. I want to shoot them up and get rid of them.
Yeah, when it comes to color for, I'm kind of partial to the Ford light blue. Some of the lime greens are cool. The only thing that I've got, I guess this is a rule of thumb, is I don't typically use, I won't use orange or black. And the reason why I won't use orange is because that's kind of the cap gun color. I don't want anybody to get mixed up or confused, pick up a gun, think that it's not loaded because it's got cap gun. I don't know. And black because I want to be able to see that there's something in the hole, even though I check. It's just kind of a thing. But that's it. I mean, I use anything I can get my hands on. I'm using Eastwood right now with great success. Powder by the pound I hear is even better. So the Harbor Freight's good for a pinch. I've used some of the red. The black is junk, the white junk. But
Yellow, hit and miss. Black, I think black has a lot of iron oxide in it. I think that's where it gets a lot of its pigment. And I don't know about you guys, but I for one don't want iron rust going down my bore at 1,000 feet per second and pistols and even faster than that with the rifle.
Insight, that looks like that's some terrible luck, brother. I'm sorry to hear that. I had my truck one time. One of the funniest breakdowns I've had in a long time is coming back from Delaware. I want to for an unfortunate family get together, and my truck started cutting out just a little bit, like you could feel it hesitating. I didn't know what it was. And I was thinking, okay, it's not gas because I just put gas in it. I don't know, what the hell's going on with this thing. And they were going to the interstate, and all this just shut off. I'm like, oh shit! And I hit the off ramp, ran up the off ramp, went down the off ramp into the hotel parking lot, and stopped. Perfect. In South Carolina, middle of nowhere, some really great people. Saturday came and got my truck, got it fixed for me that day, even though they weren't even open. Barely charged me anything, told me to have a good day, and sent me on my way. It's amazing. So sometimes those horrible things can turn out to kind of be a cool story in the end. See, that chair is famous or infamous.
Johnny, Utah.
Seattle, Washington makes no sense at all. At all. That's like someone from California sending me bullets or lead, Willie.
Willie. Actually, Johnny, Utah sounds like a gunslinger from the Old West.
My uncle sent me that hat. It's funny.
Pretty cool.
I remember when Seattle, like right before the hipster influx, the takeover. I mean, Seattle was really big for craft beer there for a little while. There's that kind of period where before it got super hippie, and it still had some really cool things. Anchorage was like that as well.
Oregon and Washington started the microbrew basically. Vasquan. We used to make it. My neighbor, are we still on?
Yeah.
My neighbor opened a U-Brew, and it's just like going to the laundromat. You make your beer and you come back and bottle it.
That's amazing. That'd be pretty cool. That sounds like an interesting concept anyway.
It was really cool. That was in the 90s, and you can make your own labels there and everything. So pretty cool. But that place is crazy now, so I won't even go there. Family just came back from there. So
yeah, I heard that they went over there and spent a day or whatever traveling around trying to get everything. It's like you're trying to pick the decent parts and then get the hell out of there as fast as possible.
Well, just stay out of the cities. Eastern Washington is just like here. It's great. They just get outvoted by the city.
Well,
they moved from the south. You know what happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a lot of the same stuff we're seeing down here, where Atlanta is taking over all of our state legislature. I mean, we have, and you see, I think you first start to see it in schools, where all of a sudden the school money, you start to watch the school money just dry up, and then they start raising your property taxes out in the middle of nowhere to try to make up for loss of revenue because all the money is being rediverted back into the city. I don't know. I feel you.
Well, it's interesting you brought that up. Talking about that is, I would be willing to bet that Georgia is probably the first red state that if we do have one flip blue here in the next 8 to 12 years, it'll probably be Georgia. And I only say that simply because of the Atlanta factor, as well as, I mean, look at this past presidential election, how long it took them until they could call Georgia. I mean, I think the state still was like 56% or something like that. So, we were still solidly red, but it took them a lot longer to call Georgia. They were already calling a lot of the Midwestern states before they were able to call Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia's kind of changing demographically in some ways. And I know that Washington did that. I mean, Oregon really did that. Oregon reminds me, everywhere except for Portland reminds me of like the panhandle of Florida. I'm serious, man. It is like, that is some backwoods crap right there that you're dealing with. And then all of a sudden, Portland and hipsters and weirdos. And it's like, how does this not turn into an issue?
Isn't Leupold out there? Where are they at? They're in Oregon, aren't they?
I got my guitar stolen in Portland. I'll never go back there either. My brother-in-law lives there. Guitar, a whole bunch of, can't even say it now.
Harmonica, blues harp.
Harmonicas, a whole bunch of harmonicas stolen. He crawled through a window this big that said safety window so no one can get in. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They didn't count on hipsters. They only weigh 30 pounds. They don't eat nothing but vegetables.
He was a hippie-looking drug addict dude.
A diet of heroin and kale, that's what it gets you.
Yeah, we couldn't find him in time. We had to leave. We were working out of town. I wish I would have found him, though. Cops were useless. Useless. I'll never go back to Portland.
I found that to be constant, though. Like, when it comes to, like, the general thievery, cops are almost always useless. Like, and I don't understand that. Like, I mean, what the hell are they doing? I mean, but they don't seem like anybody that I know who has ever had anything stolen outside of possibly a car. You never see it again. And it's like nobody ever cares or looks for it. It's like, so what do you guys do? Are you spending all day trying to harass people and extort money? Or, I don't know.
Well, I like cops. Most of the cops are good. It's just they get hammered with so much crime, you know, they don't have time for it. And they didn't even want to come out. But as far as theft goes, the good thing about guns is they have a serial number, and sometimes they'll eventually pop up.
Well, let me rephrase that so that I don't step on my own, put my foot in my own mouth. I'm not talking about like, cops are one thing. It's the department that causes them to be out there. Like, I said this from the start. Like, I don't know any police officers that I've ever met, including family members, that wouldn't rather be like, you know, at Parkland, wouldn't rather be in that school trying to take care of the situation than out trying to write a damn ticket to somebody who's going 10 mile an hour over. But the department, you know, it might happen where he ended up getting a gun back 20 years after it was stolen. Baltimore City cop just called him up and said, hey, yeah, that's crazy.
I know someone who bought a Colt revolver. I think it was a trooper. And he bought it at a gun shop, and someone declared it stolen later, and they confiscated it off of him. They wouldn't, actually, he was doing a transfer. But no, he put it on consignment, and then they said nope, and took it. So he was out. And I know another guy that bought a Colt 380 pistol, the little, you know, like the Colt ponies, little 1911s that Sig's copying now. And he traded that in for something, and they said stolen, and he had to eat that too. So you got to watch that.
Rob, I'm
Just
sorry.
don't
I stepped over your boss.
You got what?
Rob, I'm sorry. I stepped on you, didn't I?
Oh, I don't even remember. I was listening to Uncle Jim tell war stories around the fire.
Oh.
I lived in St. Louis for about 7 years, and right outside of St. Louis, on the east side of St. Louis, a town called Belleville. And we were butted right up to East St. Louis. And there wasn't even really – it was kind of ridiculous to even put a radio in your car during the 90s and the early 2000s. I mean, it was so bad that when I woke up in the morning and I saw glass, I just hoped that they closed the door after they were done so the battery wasn't dead. I mean, it was constant. I mean, you call the police out and they're like, nah, yeah. I'm like, yeah, no, I know. Yeah. Like, why am I even bothering you? It's terrible.
JCM asked what kind of guitar it was. I left mine at home when I was on the road working, so I bought one, and I went through the whole place, big guitar store in Idaho, and didn't see nothing I liked, and it ended up being in the window. And so I went back in, and it wasn't a Gibson or Fender or anything. It was a Yamaha, but it had beautiful split inlaid wood down the back, and it was gorgeous. But the best of all, it had the greatest action. It played and sounded so good, and it wasn't very expensive either. So there's the story on that.
I have a
Just had-
Yamaha. I really like it.
Oh, what are you eating there?
Just got gum.
No, you don't use a napkin with gum. Mm-mm.
I got some extra if you want some. So what state are you in, Uncle Jim? We were discussing that before you got there. Utah?
Yep.
That's what I thought. Man, the Lord blessed you with a beautiful view. I want you to know those videos have just got a gorgeous setting. And
You know, I haven't done any videos hiking. I got 50 acres, and there's some places that are neat.
hey, let me ask the other guys: Have y'all seen the deer on Uncle Jim's videos? How they kind of hop?
Yeah.
Ours down here don't do that.
They slip.
They don't. I'm assuming you got mule deer and we've got whitetails.
Well, no, it's the rap music. See, you got to have rap music.
Well, if you go to Atlanta, you can have all the rap music you can stand. But if you get outside of Atlanta, it goes country pretty fast.
I can't stand rap music.
You like country, though, don't you?
It's not music. I like some country. I grew up on rock, 60s as a kid. So I'm big time rock. Blues.
Yeah.
I started playing on blues. So
I was coming back on my motorcycle once from Arkansas back home to Georgia, and we decided we were going to stop because there was a lot of interstate construction, and it was going to be like a 4-hour wait before we could go on. So we decided to get a hotel room, and it was in a little town called Indianola, Mississippi. Does that town name mean anything to you?
no, haven't been to Mississippi. Just
That is
east.
the birthplace of B.B. King.
Ah!
Well, yeah. Yeah.
They have a museum there. Of course, by the time we got into town, it was closed. So, you don't sightsee a whole lot on motorcycle trips. But anyway.
Do you like Johnny Cash? I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan.
Who doesn't like Johnny Cash?
Well, just asking.
I think my grandmother was related to his wife.
That's an amazing story with him.
Yeah, he married up, that's for sure.
Yeah, the deer down here tend to slink, don't they? They slink, or they like kind of do that. I want to say like a horse run, but it's much less hoppy and gazelle like, and much more kind of straight run right into the tractor trailer kind of thing.
More like a horse than a bunny rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
Willie told me he wasn't coming tonight. He said that he was going out to dinner with his family, and there he is on the chat. Glad he's made it, Willie.
I knew you'd make it. You're the man, Willie.
He is.
There
were a lot of folks asking about him.
I have a video of I've never seen $5 together in one spot. There was 5 or 6. And they're all little fuzzy antlers, but I've never seen that many bucks together. And I got bits and pieces of that, but never threw that up there. That was last week. The most I've seen in bucks together were two humongous bucks. And that might be on one of the first videos, but they were huge. They look like elk.
If you were a hungry man, that would be prime pickings. We've got 19 viewers on right now, guys, so I appreciate everybody showing up. I want to give a quick shout out, if I can, to 243 Outdoors. Today, I got a package from him that I didn't recognize the name, so I didn't get the unboxing, but I did make a short little video about it. But he made me this American flag. I really, really appreciate it, and it's already on the wall, brothers. Thank you very much.
Wow. There we go. What's that made out of?
It looks to be pine, but it's just the way he did it is just really, really nice. Where parts of it are actually burnt, and then other parts aren't. It's like the finish on is really, really nice. I was so surprised, man. I didn't know about it. I had no idea he was doing. We had talked about some of those flag boxes and stuff before, and he said that he had made some, and I'm like, oh, it's really cool. Didn't say a word to me. He conspired with Jamie to get my address, and just showed up today. So also, JCM45 sent me the turret head for the Mag 2 turret press. There'll be an unboxing video on that. So JCM, I really appreciate that, brother. It's kind of odd to get two of those at one day. I had no idea. I knew what yours was. I had no idea that was coming.
We're glad you were surprised.
Very much so. I don't know. 4 deer. What do you got? I mean, bucks. I mean, deer, sure. I've seen clusters of deer, but bucks, like, I've never seen 4 and 5 bucks just hanging out together playing poker and shooting the shit, you know, passing out seagulls.
I was talking to Timothy, and he was saying they hang out when they're younger. And I said, yeah, before they have sex. Then they go crazy, you know, and they fight.
Well, like humans.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But George Boy 44 said it's a summer bachelor group. They kind of bunch up. All the does will get together, and then all the bucks will get together, and they'll hang out together until it starts cooling off. And from what I've understood about what I've read, it's all about the amount of daylight, amount of sun.
Well, we get them in the morning and the afternoon. And when I tried to shoot in the previous video with the sun to my back, they were walking right across my swinger targets. And so it was really hard. And I look around, they're everywhere. My wife yells out the door that, hey, there's deer around here. Be careful. Because they can't hear. I got a suppressor on it, and they don't care. They just hear a thump, and they just keep eating and moving around.
How far are your swingers out, Jim? They look like they're a mile away.
Well, it depends on where I'm standing. If I get close to the rocks, it's about 55. And then the metal pan, remember that's from the rocks, that's probably 70 something. But when I move back all the way to the house, yeah, they're further away.
Huh.
So I got a rangefinder, but every time I'm moving around, it's a different range. So I just kind of wing it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain degree, absolutely. That's kind of, I mean, it's just, we were talking about this the other night. I don't know if this was on or off chat about certain ranges that have terrain features in them. If you follow by foot, the range will be one thing, but if you go line of sight, actually as the bird flies, it's a different thing. But I see some people's videos that claim that, you know, it's like a 300-yard shot. It's like, damn, that looks close. And then I see yours, and I'm like, holy shit, that looks far away. Like, but it's only 75 yards or so. Yeah, it's interesting how it works.
My problem is I don't have a lot of flat land where I can do like West Desert Shooter and Eagle Eye. So I'd have to go, I don't have to drive far. I mean, I can find it, but I can shoot up on my north property on the hill and get about, my rangefinder won't even register that far, but I'm thinking about 350 on the hillside, and I'd have to be shooting up a little bit. And I thought about backpacking a swinger out there, a big one, but I don't know.
Yeah, a giant.
And that would be pointing. That would be pointing right where 243 Outdoors was doing his milk jug. He was over in the desert, over the national forest that's in between us, and I'd be pointing right at him doing that.
I'm trying to remember.
And that was awesome, by the way. He comes to Utah with the weird wind right and left, and nails those milk jugs. That was impressive. Is he here?
I haven't seen him in the chat or anything, but yeah, that was pretty amazing.
That was impressive. See, I'm not.
Your shot was impressive as well, though.
I have done nothing like that. And he was shooting fast, and that wind can be just screaming one way, and then all of a sudden it'll shift on you.
He also makes it very difficult not to consider a Ruger American when you go to look at rifles, does he not?
He took a off-the-shelf rifle, light tweaks to it, and nailed it. I think it was 4 shots. 4 shots at 1200. Then he did a 1500, and that's not easy. So,
no, it's funny because prior to this, like, I mean, I thought prior to getting involved with a lot of these guys, man, I really thought 300 yards was a shot. Because I never lived anywhere out there out west where, I mean, it's like Wyoming. It's like 300 yards to go out to the sidewalk. I mean, just so damn big. And I mean, it's just funny because I didn't get used. I've never been used to that.
Yeah.
So what's the?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. What's the furthest distance you ever killed a deer at?
Who?
All of y'all. That's a question for the panel.
Mine's
and the chat.
Because that's going back to when I was a kid, man. And we had used shotguns, so I don't know, 50, 75 yards, something like that. Hell, I don't know.
A Mooser, you shoot a lot of deer. What's the furthest you've ever?
Yeah, the field across the house, that corner is about 550. It's like 568 or something like that. So right around 525 to 550. I've taken deer.
With a 20.
Wow, it's a long shot.
Yes.
Yeah, that was with the 270.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask. The furthest I've ever shot one up here in northwest Georgia, it was 167 yards.
I'd keep it in 200 because I don't have any magnums. So I just, actually, to be honest with you, since I moved here, open the sliding glass door 20 feet. No problem.
Just jump
and that's true.
right into the freezer.
You've seen it. That's true. They're in the garden every day.
But that shot was with a Ruger M77 chambered in 30-06 with a 180 grain power point Super X Winchester.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, that's my favorite round for deer hunting. But I'm determined this year that I'm going to kill some deer with bullets that I've loaded. This will be the first year that I'm hunting with hand loads.
Are you using jacketed bullets? I'm
using Sierra Pro Hunters 180 grain setting on 47 grains of 4064 for the 30-06. And then I'll be using some of my cast bullets. The results of this 35 Remington series is what I'm going to be using in the brush.
Jamie, that's pretty much so a factory reproduction load, isn't it? I mean, it's real close. That 4064 load, I think.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I think that's really close to factory load. I'd look at your speeds and make sure your bullets doing what it's supposed to be doing at that speed. But I think you're right on. It sounds like a good one.
That brings up another interesting point. Remember my last video? I unboxed the new chronograph.
Yes, sir.
I'm working on load 3. Take the chronograph out to the public outdoor range, shooting my 35 at 100 yards, and my first 5 shots were 3,000 some odd feet per second. And I'm freaking out. There's no way my 35 Remington with a 200 grain bullet is getting between 3,000 and 3,100 feet per second. You know, it's important that you read the instructions before you go out and try to do something.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Who does that?
I know it's when we mess something up, then we go read the instructions, right? So at this range, they got shooting tables up there, benches, and I've got the chronograph set up right at the end of the bench. I mean, I've got that much room between my muzzle and the chronograph. And after about 10 or 11 shots, I'm no longer getting readings at all on the chronograph. So I think what I was getting was readings of the gas going through the sensors.
Yeah, you don't want them that close. First thing, a lot of times what will happen, and I'm surprised it happened, you'll blow the sunshades right off of it. If you got it too close, and it just won't read accurate. You got to be, was it 8 feet, something like that? I don't know. I never read the book.
Yeah, I think I set mine 10 yards.
Yeah, suppressors will mess up a chronograph too. You got to keep them a little distance away.
And plus, it was real shady in there. It was real, there's a lot of trees hanging over, plus it was after work. It was like 6 o'clock. So lighting wasn't the best.
Well, yours came with lights, didn't it?
No.
Oh, mine did.
I just got the basic unit. I figure I can get them later if I need it. But yeah, my first group were 2976, 3075, 3020, and 3120 with a 200 grain cast lead bullet with 34 grains of H335. Yeah, as my preacher would say, hogwash.
Nonsense. Yeah. So I'm talking about loading cast bullets in revolvers. Jim, you got any expertise you want to impart on your journey so far?
Well,
No.
apparently. Oh, Jamie or me?
No, you. 'Cause you're the one getting started in this.
Apparently, maybe not, because Georgia Boy and J.S. Pollard are going a little light with their unique here, and this is 5 grains in a 38. The date is for a 155 grain, but this is a 161 grain, and I thought they were starting a little light, but that's a good idea. I'm shooting in a fat chamber, so I don't have to worry about it. But my book on that, even though it's saying the bullet's lighter than what mine is, started at 5.1, went to 5.4 a unique. So I figured 5.0 would be fine, but we shall see. And I've been meaning to do it. It's just hot out, and I had other things to do. And
What book is that, Jim? Because I've been trying to compile a good idea of. This is so frustrating. Trying to figure out which books are where is very difficult. I'm betting you either have a Lyman book or an older, maybe a Sierra book that'll tell you, probably a Lyman book that'll tell you to run it that hot.
Well, here's the thing. They're talking about my bullet mold, which they say is 155, which it isn't. So that's the problem. But Lyman 49th and then the little dedicated 38 books. I don't have a Lee book and I don't have a Hornady book. But they both said the same thing with unique.
Well, here's what I've run into so far.
What was that load? I've got the Lyman book sitting right here.
5 grains of unique and a 158. grain
Yeah,
bullet.
the bullet is a Lyman. So go to the Lyman 358156 bullet, which with wheel weights with me quench, they're 161, 162 grain.
What
And
caliber?
it will say
What caliber, Jim?
38 special. And it will say for plus P, I'm not talking regular because that starts at 4.6 or something.
Give me that bullet number again.
358156.
358156. It's 155 grain.
Yeah, supposedly.
This starting suggested a 3.4 grains of unique, and the max charge being 3.1 grains, and that's in an overall length of 1.4.
That's standard, not plus P.
What's that?
That's standard, not plus P, I think.
But
Hold on. Let me check. Let me find plus P. Give me a second. See, it doesn't even list.
wait a second. 38 special.
Yeah, plus P is 5.4.
Yeah.
Well, that's yes, it goes, the max is 5.1, and then for plus P below it, it says 5.4.
Correct.
So I did a 5.0 for Georgia boy, but he's already loaded stuff. So, and I'm using a handy rifle that has a barrel that thick at the chamber.
Yeah. Here's
That's my
thing
test
is
gun.
really weird so far about that I've noticed in reloading, and it's actually really frustrating. Is that I don't mind one manual being different than another because I understand the way testing works. Okay, you have different testing parameters. But what pisses me off is when one manual steals the information of another manual and
Yeah.
increases it by a certain percentage for safety. And then you have one manual that has done no changes in their test. They've never retested it. They just reduced their whole load because of an issue. So you have you have one edition of the manual will have a 45 ACP load of XYZ, and then the next one it's 0.2 lower, but everything looks exactly the same. And you're like, what? Why did they? And then you go find another manual that copied that information from before, and you end up with all this data that's all over the place, up and down, based off of 3 different tests that were done 30 years ago, and everybody's jockeyed with the information since then. And you got to go back to the first edition Lyman books and shit like that to try to get steady data. The lawyers are really messing this up because people will start extrapolating their own data because they don't understand why they're getting so much different information from different books. And that's dangerous.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Lawyers.
Well, I have a Lyman too, and that same bullet is the same data. They must have kept it all those years. But there's a few that were wrong about 300 blackout. And if anyone did the brass that way or the seating that way, the Hornady was wrong, and there was another. I got one. Let me grab it. And that one was wrong.
Oh, I haven't bought that, so I'm glad to hear that not to buy it.
Yeah, I got it marked out here. What happened? I think it was overall length or the brass. I think it was the brass length. But they were wrong, so trust no one, reference 3 at a time, you know the drill.
Yeah, I think I've got just about all of the books that are out right now in the current editions, and I don't load anything without bouncing in and out of every book just to double check and make sure that I'm at least in the ballpark and somewhere in a ballpark looking to be where I actually want to be. So yeah, I definitely agree with you there that it pays to cite as many sources as you possibly can before you get started with a new load or a new powder, or a new bullet, or a new lot number, or about anything.
Yeah, including the online, the powder manufacturer's data, because you would think they would update it, but it's a good reference. I don't have a ton of manuals because a lot of my stuff's suppressed and it's not in manuals, so you have to work your way around. and there's a lot of people that you can trust to go off of.
Jim, I got a question specifically for you that I've been wanting to ask you. That you, and if any of you other guys know this, feel free to chime in. That was my bagel in the background, by the way. But what I'm getting ready to start doing is I want to start doing a fun reload series outside of my 2 hunting reload series that I'm going to have, and it's going to be a 9mm. But rather than reloading like these, which is a standard, this is my CZP-10C. It's just a standard Glock 19 size pistol. Is I want to reload 9mm for a 9mm carbine. So I want reloads that are specifically made for a carbine length barrel, so that essentially I can take advantage of the fact that I have a 16-inch barrel and my bullets aren't, slowing down because of the barrel friction, and where I'm still getting some acceleration through the barrel. How would I kind of work my way towards that powder wise? Obviously I'm gonna have to move to some slower powders, but what would be a good method to really work my way towards, finding that?
Well, I haven't had the problem. Some AR barrels, and I went through this with the Stoner barrel. I went round and round and finally sent it back, but it's chambering. And do you have what kind of magazines? Is it
Glock style magazines?
Okay.
Glock style magazines.
And I got 2 uppers that feed really good, and the Foxtrot Mics feeds anything. I put any kind of hollow point through that thing. So first you got to experiment with that. But my pistols and the carbines, when you're going 16-inch barrel, it's been a while since I shot a 16 because mine are shorter. I found a load for my pistols and rifles. So I'm using Winchester 231, which is kind of, as far as the burn rate, and really haven't played around with anything else because I have so much of it and just loaded on the Dillon. And I could.
You don't find you're losing a ton of velocity with having the extra barrel friction? Or you still feel like you're gaining velocity?
I really haven't chronographed a 16-inch barrel, so I could do a video and just run it, walk outside tomorrow and chronograph a 10.5, and what do I got? An 8.5, if that helps. And that would be.
It would just be interesting to see kind of how you would load it up, and figure out, obviously if you start getting, velocity fall off, it's obviously because of the friction of your barrel and all your powder's burnt, so the barrel length is actually hindering you rather than helping you. So, I want to work on some loads specifically because I think I've got three or four 9mm carbines that are 16-inch barrels. I've got a Scorpion, I've got an FX9, so I've got a couple of them. And, I'd like to make some carbine specific 9mm loads.
Well, now that you can have the pistol brace on a pistol, I highly recommend a short one. But if you don't have a can, it doesn't matter because you're not adding length to it. So I guess it's a little bit. I just like the shorties now. So I haven't chronographed anything long. And to me, 16 inches is long now. So I don't know. But I could chronograph 8.5. I think I even have it in a video somewhere where I did groups with, I don't think I got the chrono data. Give me a second. I'll grab some targets maybe.
Real quick, I wanted to say, Mike Train, I agree with you. Lee Manual is the biggest offender of shared data and nonsense, where they'll pull data from all kinds of different places, and it can be real confusing at times. I love it for what it does do, but I agree. And Eagle Eye, I have not messed with that powder. I don't know. I'll look into it because I mean, a good replacement or a good other for 4350 is to be really useful.
I tell you, I really dislike the way that Western has got their manual laid out, just as far as the layout of it.
I like it.
Do you like it?
Yeah, interesting.
Well, rather than having it laid out by bullet weight, they just have it laid out by powder. And especially with me being a newer reloader, You know, that to me is a little bit more confusing. You know, obviously I can follow it, but I find it to be a little bit more confusing. You know, especially since I'm referencing burn rate charts and whatnot back and forth, trying to figure out, you know, which way I want to go. But I'm not as much of a fan of the way it's laid out as I am most of the others, the standard layout.
Yeah, they've always done that. And I think, Robert, I think where that comes from, surprisingly enough, is that was the easiest way to get the most information in the smallest pamphlet possible, because that's how that's where their load manuals came from, these little itty bitty pamphlets that were around. And then they put that online in a PDF. And then when they built their book, they built it on the same principles.
Gotcha.
That's where it comes from. And I'm used to it, so maybe that's why I like it, because I'm just used to it. And I know it's like, oh, I'm going into the Western, they're going to be weird, but yeah, they are definitely different.
Yeah, and I think where I find it confusing is oftentimes, you know, like right now I'm working on developing a 6.5 Creedmoor load. You know, now that I'm into the testing phases with my Grendel, I'm going to be working up some Creedmoor loads and trying to figure out, okay, you know, I want a powder that's around the burn rate of, say, like Reloader 17. You know, what really is close to that burn rate? You know, what can I look for? You know, it doesn't really lend itself well to helping you in that area, I guess.
Well, I mean, if I was going to do that, I'd go back to the back. I think it's in the back of the book where they have the burn rate chart, and just check there. But I know,
right, which is essentially what I do. I've got the burn rate PDF that's saved on my computer, and I just pull that up and look.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying, because you know, when you have your bullet weights clustered together, it's easier to be able to check your speeds and see what's going on.
Yep.
I see what you're saying.
So Amusa Curtis was, William C. Chapin was talking about, he has 9mm carbines in both 16 and 18-inch barrels, and that it does make a difference. So Curtis, if you're still out there, maybe you could expound on that for a minute or two, and let Amusa know what kind of difference he's looking at.
Yeah, Curtis, that would be interesting. I'm not finding any targets with Toronto.
I know I've seen, and the reason I was asking Jim is because I know, and Jamie, I appreciate it, and Curtis as well, is I know I have seen, you know, there's the online program. I don't have it, but the online program that you can buy where basically you put in bullet weight and, you know, cartridge and all that stuff, and it'll give you an approximate pressure and approximate percent powder burned and whatnot. You know, most 9mm, it's my understanding they're made, you know, with a 5-inch barrel in mind, or at least most loads for 9mm. And, you know, obviously the books all say, you know, what barrel length they're tested in, but I don't think you really get much burn out past, you know, like a 10.5-inch barrel. I would be surprised beyond that if you were still getting any powder burn at all.
Yeah, the problem is with 9mm, you're not going to be able to get a slower burning powder in there. It's just not enough room in that case.
Well, I mean, we got the guy that loads shotgun powders.
And by shotgun powder, I'm guessing you don't mean bullseye, red dot, and unique.
No. You know, some of the more middling powders is kind of what I had in mind. Well, let me bring up my chart here.
What weight bullet are you talking about? Because I shoot 147 a lot because it's subsonic, and that's going to make a difference.
Absolutely. It also make a difference of what kind of if you're using jacketed or cast or whatever, because how long it's going to take to get through the barrel is going to determine how much time you have for that burn. So
well, I was looking at realistically trying to get it into the burn rate area somewhere around like CFE Black or Reloader 7, you know, which is just a little bit slower than Hodgson's little gun. So, you know, and I don't know, you know, if I can even get that slow in the burn rate chart, you know, into 9mm and not absolutely kill my pressures. But, you know, it's something that what I'm going to have to do to try to figure it out is basically kind of walk my way up, if that makes sense.
Or walk your way down, however you want to look at it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And base, you know, jump off of different cartridge weights and different things like that, and try to figure out
your sensitive powders. That's the only thing I would say. Just stick with powders that you kind of have a more of a feel with, and you have more data around. look for stuff that's been used in like 38 Super and other shit like that, and work your way
Exactly.
and be careful and stay away from anything that's going to be pressure sensitive. Like I know you wouldn't mess with 110, but 110 stuff like that, stay away from them because if you get into a low pressure curve, they could do weird shit. So, armament axes. I agree that reloading is a can of worms. But what's interesting is here. I don't know if you guys are on the Facebooks, but
The Book of Faces.
the Book of Faces.
No.
The Mark Zuckerberg zombie show. Anyway, there's a page or a group out there called like the Reloading Room, which is interesting because that was my name and everything else. And I joined up with them, and every day they get brand new reloaders, and they're asking questions to this Facebook group that are just so like, you've never read a manual, have you? You know, and that it's like it's terrifying. But I'm glad that we're getting new reloaders. It's just read the book, man.
Okay.
Yeah, like Willie's talking.
Chapin-
Willie's talking
Chapin
about, you know, using like going with a powder even as slow as Blue Dot, you know, for 40 and 18 inch 40 Smith and Wesson, and that's kind of what I was thinking, getting into some of those slower Blue Dot, maybe into long shot, you know, around to little gun, things like that, somewhere in that burn area, and
Hey, Rob, my dad's got a good point. He was using 2400 in his destroyer carbine. That's a 9mm.
Yeah, and that's essentially what I'm thinking about.
Yeah. I'll talk to him about it. Get a load. Figure out what he's been using, and give you some kind of starting range. Kind of with an idea.
Yeah,
George Boy and I had a.
Go ahead, James.
I'm sorry, George Boy and I had a similar conversation about 357 Magnum 38 and his. I was thinking about finding a lever gun, and I kind of wanted to stick with the 20-inch barrel, but he's got a 24-inch, and he was talking about he's not seen any decline in velocity at all. So what he's saying is that his 24-inch barrel, if I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, Pastor, with a 24-inch barrel, he's getting substantially more velocity than out of his revolvers. So it's not affecting the extra length in the barrel is not affecting the velocity that much.
Yeah, and that's basically going to be dependent on what powder he's running.
Well, I know he's running. I know he was running some 2400. I think it was number 7 also, and he's been talking. He'll fill us in.
Yeah, that's right in that range that Willie Willie C. Chapman was talking about, right in that Blue Dot, you know, accurate number 7. It's right there. So, you know, those are all right there. That'll at least give me an idea as far as, you know, how slow I want to go. I was thinking as slow as CFE Black, but I don't know that I realistically need to go that slow. But, you know, it's interesting, especially with doing the rifle stuff and being more familiar with the rifle stuff. For example, if you're looking at a burn rate chart, and I really wish I was on my main computer right now because I'd be able to screen share this. But if you're looking at a burn rate chart, with like me doing the 6.5 Grindle series, most of the data that's out there is in that the benchmark, you know, Reloader 12 burn rate area, and you know, the load that I'm working with is the CFE 223, which is significantly slower, and you know, I'm actually with the shorter barrel still able to match velocities in a lot of the books that are testing with longer barrels. So, you know, you definitely can get off into some slower powders here and there and still be okay. I think it realistically is just a matter of finding which powder you can do it safely with and which ones you can't.
Yeah, bullet weight and lead also is going to be different. So what bullet weight are you shooting? 115 or 124?
I haven't decided yet. I could go 115 or 124. I haven't bought the bullets for it yet.
Get ready.
What do you mean buy bullets? Don't you mold? Don't you cast?
No, I don't cast. That it don't make sense for me to cast like I was saying before. For especially for like 9mm, you know, places where I'm buying 9mm, I'm getting 9mm for like, you know, 14 cents a round or 13 cents a round. You know, by the time you deal with powder and primers, and you know, you're pretty close to the same cost, which is why I haven't realistically reloaded pistol stuff before, or even really thought about it, with the exception of like reloading for the carbine specifically. That's why for regular handguns, I just don't see the point, I guess.
Well, here's what I would say when it comes to that is when you start getting into like, you know, man handguns, that cost gets up pretty high. But what I found out seriously though, I'm with you on certain things. Like I need to start reloading 380s. I'm not gonna cast for it. I'm just gonna buy a big old box of bullets for it and be done with it. But at the same time, like 45s and everything else, I'm probably gonna cast for it. I mean, I don't know where that point is. And for me, I enjoy casting and I enjoy reloading. So it's not really like I'm losing out, and I get to dick with the load and make it kind of exactly what I want it to be.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Like, you know, since I'm not shooting a man caliber, you know, and only shooting 9mm, because 9mm is so popular, you know, the rounds are significantly less expensive than a lot of everything else out there.
Oh yeah,
so,
absolutely.
You know,
I mean,
realistically, when you're talking accuracy out of a 9mm handgun, how good are you realistically going to get? I mean, obviously you can get really good accuracy, but you know, when you're looking dollar for dollar versus what you can buy, you know, I don't see there being that big of an increase in accuracy potential.
I think there is for long distance shooting.
Yeah, for long distance shooting.
But that's a different animal. If you're doing normal pistol work at 15 yards, 20 yards, you're not going to see a difference, I don't think. You know what you will see a difference, and that is the hassle of trying to get a load that works well with your gun. Now, you can just stumble right into that, but especially if you stick to the pet loads kind of thing. But no, I understand, man, and I agree with you in certain cases. I think it was the 45 Colt that got me into casting because the bullets, because it's so expensive to get into it.
Yeah, like with my 357, I would consider reloading my 357. Doing reloads.
I would highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Armut and Axes asked, do we use plated bullets? Here's some 40 caliber. I think they're 180 grain flat points. And you see that poster behind my wall. I got that on the wall. I got that from, don't repeat this. I got it from the NRA show in Atlanta a couple of years ago and brought back some Berries bullets. But I like Berries. They're okay. They're relatively inexpensive, but I prefer to cast everything I shoot. I just do. I will use store-bought bullets, but here's some cast. That's a cast 175 grain truncated cone in 40 caliber Smith & Wesson. And Curtis, I really want that thought of a 40 caliber 18-inch carbine really intrigues me. Maybe you can do a video on that sometimes. I'd love to see that.
Get it in 10mm, then you're talking.
Yeah, I guess. I don't have any 10mm brass.
A new adventure.
I've got enough adventures right now.
Damien, I'm with you on that. I think what I'm going to end up doing eventually is I have this interest in getting a 9mm, like striker fired type 9mm for possibly doing 3-gun work. And I'm going to end up most likely shooting so much through it for practice purposes, because the practice is different. Like what I do is I'll sit down at the range and I might put 50 through a gun. But that takes me 2 hours. But if you're going down shooting for something like that where speed's an issue, you're going to go through 200, 300, 400 rounds in a set. I'm going to have to cast for it. And I'm going to have to find another way to get more lead because it's just going to go through a bunch more.
Even like today, shooting a CZ, I've got 5 magazines for it, and one I keep loaded for self-defense. This is one of my carry guns, but I've put close to 300 rounds through it today. Just doing plate drills and things like that. So
Yeah, it
Well,
can be expensive.
I've got a 6-cavity Lee 124 grain round nose mold for 9mm. And when you start chunking out 6 at a time, man, that makes it worthwhile. And I'm telling you, I used this Eastwood mirror green on those, and I'm fixing to load some of those up. And I have 2 9mm. I have CZ75 BD, and I wished I could get with you, Nathan, about that striker fire thing. I've got a striker fire gun. I got 2 striker fires, and then I've got like the 1911, and then I got that CZ75, and I'm kind of with the Scotsman on that. I tend to be going away from this striker fire stuff and getting more into the single, double action hammer pistol kind of thing. It just feels better in my hand. I can't explain it. I guess it's just mushy, kind of the mushy feel, the marshmallow type feel to those striker fire guns, and I like them. I do. My everyday carry is a Taurus 9mm striker fire, and it's dependable. It goes bang every time. It shoots pretty good, but if I was going to do 3-gun, and when I go off on my bike, I carry that CZ because it's got I have two or 3 mags for it. It's a 17 round capacity, and I just really like the way it feels, and I really like the way it shoots, and it's accurate beyond belief. And if the Scotsman was still out there, he would tell you. Another good one is the Beretta 92 SFs, or any Beretta 92. That would do well. That would serve you well in 3-gun as well, in my opinion. They're just accurate. They shoot fast. They got the trigger feels good.
No, I know what you're saying.
It's a heavy gun though.
I've shot the Beretta 92 a fair bit. I want one, but I don't want it for that because I don't know why, but I have like an emotional thing or attachment to the Beretta, and I want to take care of it, and I want to treat it nice. I don't want to oil it. I want to pamper it. I want something that I can kind of beat on a little bit because I never bought a gun that I was just gonna, use and like that. And that's kind of why the striker fire things hit me. Right? Part of it is I really, for some reason, have caught on to wanting an HK, and it just seems that right now is about right in my wheelhouse. Getting back to the plated bullets, I was gonna buy some plated berries for the 380, and I've changed my mind. I'm gonna use coated. I can get them for I think about the exact same price, if not a little bit less. And I know the coating will not cause a problem in the barrel. Where plating, berries I don't think does this, but some plating will leave deposits in the barrel. So I'm going to go with coated if I can.
When you say coated, what are you talking about? Like Acme High Tech?
Yeah, an Acme or something along those. Well, no, one that's poly coated.
Poly coated.
Yeah,
like Federal.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. What do you think about that subject, Uncle Jim?
What's that?
What do you think about that subject? Hey, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
I had to leave my initials, and then I needed the Christmas cord again because my battery was going. So, okay. You're talking about Berettas, striker fired.
That's
and
pretty
what else?
In my opinion, I would use this gun right here to do 3-gun. This is the gun that I would run, the CZ-P10C. The trigger on it is so nice. It's just, and I've got the PPQ. In fact, I've got the PPQ M2 Navy, which is the let me grab it. It's a threaded barrel one, and
I like the that CZ kind of intrigues me because I have the old granddaddies, all the old ones.
Yeah, I've got the PPQ here, Nathan, and the trigger on it really is great, but a very close second and significantly less expensive is the P10C, and it's just fantastic. You know, I've painted this one, stippled it myself, and it's just all around. I've got a review on it actually on my channel. It's one of the first videos that I did, but it really is just a good all around gun that I would use, especially because the bore axis on it is so low. I would use this if I was going to do 3-gun personally.
That's the thing. I like a low bore axis. I like the old CZs. I have the old ones.
A low axis and a CZ. My brother had a CZ, and that was the most miserable thing. It's an old one. Most miserable thing in the world to shoot. It would point you any chance it got. The trigger was just hell. That was like my first foray into CZ. He told us, he said, this thing won't shoot. You can't hit a broadside. I take it out. And I got it to shoot, but my God.
Well, it's funny because I'm that way about SIGs, and I'll probably catch a lot of flack for this, but the bore axis on a SIG is too high for me. It's just flat out, like I'm shooting all over the place with it. I can't hit a damn thing. I certainly can't. I can't hit the broadside of the barn from the inside with a SIG.
Getting the hammers out here. High points or Glock. Glock's a high point that's expensive. Oh my God. All right. CZ has a low bore axis. They shoot like a tech driver. Now I'm clustered. Okay. Now, if you have a Beretta, change your recoil spring often. I've seen the slides break in half. I had pictures personally in my hands. You know the weak part on a Beretta?
Yeah.
It'll snap right there.
No, I'm with
seen
you.
them all.
The new season.
Seen them all. We had every range rental in the world. I can tell you everything about any gun. But change the recoil spring on that. SIGs have a high bore axis. Had them too. I had a really nice 229. The National Forest gun, whatever it was back in the. Anyway, what were we talking about? I had to get the hammer out when you started badmouthing CZ. And
I'm not bad-mouthing CZ.
Glock's a high point.
Jim, here you go. Eagle Eye Shooting's giving me a hard time about being the enemy, so I'm going to fly the enemy flag here, and this this little guy, I will put him back where he goes, and I will show you where he lives, and it is right back here. Literally holstered to the wall is my Glock 19 that I take out tracking with me. So I am the enemy when it comes to 9mm. 9mm striker fire pistols. I love them. I'm assuming though, Nathan, you're probably looking at what, a VP9?
Yeah, a VP9, or I'm bouncing between a VP9 and an APX Beretta. I have nothing against Glocks. I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to say. I don't have anything against Glock. It's just that Glocks are designed for function.
That's what I love about the P10C. That's in my opinion, that's why my favorite gun is the P10C, is because it gives you everything the Glock gives you with a little bit of a different bore access and a tighter chamber. Those are the two. I love it. That's why I flat out love it.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything bad about CZ. That gun was just bad, or not bad. It was a good gun. It was just an old military type CZ. It was ancient, or not ancient, but it was an older CZ, and it was just so rough one to shoot.
Well, there's a lot of guys I know that are running 3-gun that are running like SPO1s now and stuff like that. So the SPO1s is a really popular one that I know. There's a lot of aftermarket stuff for 3-gun guys.
Georgia boy, I'm not saying I hate function. I'm just saying that when your chambers are large intentionally, everything is designed for this gun to be able to have mud thrown in it and all this stuff. It's great. That's really cool for that purpose. But to try to put it in other purposes, you almost immediately have to get a new barrel and things like that. It's like the old 1911s. They were loose. They didn't shoot very well. They were designed for a specific function. It did not correlate necessarily to what the civilian market was doing. That's just how I feel about Glocks. I think they're great for function. Like if I was going to go slogging through the mud in the woods and, in the swamp. If I was going to go out in the swamp.
Using it as a tracking gun like I do?
Yeah, that's the kind of gun I would want because it's going to be able to function when I've just been going through Blackwater. But if I go out on a range,
you're saying they don't shoot.
no, I'm not saying they don't shoot. I'm saying that they probably do shoot fine. But what I'm saying is the way that the rifling tends to work, they're not all that friendly to cast bullets. The chamber issue with the 40s, it's not what I'm going to go to when there's other options that are better tailored to my kind of shoot.
I think
I won't own a Glock 40, especially an older generation. They got a little bit better on their chambers as they went, but 9mm, they're fine and they shoot good. And you use the reset on that trigger and do just a slight little bit to them, and they will group amazingly. And yes, you can change your barrel.
Jim, I like the not changing the spring, but just putting in the 3.5-pound connector and then not changing any of the springs. I find that's a good sweet spot for me with the Glock trigger. Personally,
I would never alter the striker spring for one, and the trigger springs on the Glock. Since
I don't touch them.
They were the most popular range rental, so they got shot 3 times more than anything else, and the trigger springs would break. That's what would break on those. And it was a 5-minute fix, where other guns, you got to deal with the company. Sometimes they're not that great and they're more complicated, but I'm not just a Glock fan. I don't know, if anyone's seen my holster vid, you'll see how many.
Yeah.
But I'm not a brand. I fought Glocks forever because I was a steel and wood guy. But I got respect out of those. And then everyone's copying that polymer frame and all that stuff. And I will tell you, my 34 out of the box with factory, I don't know if it's Federal, CCI, it was shooting 1.25-inch groups at 25 rested out of the box, first time shot, over and over and over again. So they can shoot. But I'm not a Glock, again, I have different guns. I used to be a huge wheel gun guy.
I think everybody should be a huge wheel gun guy.
But everything breaks, but I know what breaks the most and what breaks the least. The Glocks, the trigger springs would break.
I think the big thing for me is
I
really want ammo simplicity in the fact that most of my stuff is either I've got the 6.5 Granville, 6.5 Creedmoor. All of my pistols are 9mm. I don't think I even have a 3.8 anymore. And then I've got the 357 revolver, but I've got probably 8 or 9 9mm between pistols and carbines and whatnot. And realistically, it's just the fact that I can just grab a random box of 9mm and go out and shoot 3/4 of my guns. And I don't really have to worry about, do I happen to have ammo for this, or do I happen to have ammo for this laying around or whatnot. So that's one of the reasons I really enjoy.
Another big stinker with me is the custom magazines. You look at HK Mags and other brands.
Yeah.
Have fun with that. And
The HK was coming with 5 mags
everywhere.
But no, I'm with you. Hey, Jim, are you still thinking about doing a video about redoing the stocks on your Smith?
Yeah, I should. I get clustered in other stuff. This one lead mold is or Lyman mold is killing me. Doing the 358 156 test. And I've been meaning to do blackout and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, it's warm out, so it's a good time. It won't be like regular refinishing though. All I'm doing is taking the finish off and putting something back on, so it won't be from scratch.
Well, yeah, but I think that might be pretty interesting for a lot of people that already have a finish that they may not like it, or it may be like yours where it's just gotten dark over the years. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, the problem with that grip, let me grab it. You guys can talk about something else here.
My first, being steel and wood, it's funny because I'm a steel and wood kind of guy as well, but my first pistol was a polymer framed Ruger. It was an older one, it was a P97, but I have, I like the polymer frame guns to some degree. I like lighter pistols. But
See, I'm the opposite actually. I'm not a steel and wood guy, and I appreciate the benefit of having like a rubber handle on a revolver or a rubber grip on a revolver, just because of the recoil reduction. So I appreciate that.
I like them both.
If I was going to sit in my chair and follow it all day, yeah, the wood handle looks great. But for actually out in the woods and stuff shooting the gun, I'd rather have the rubber grip on it for less recoil.
I'd rather have the rubber grip for better grip in a wet situation.
Yeah, I mean, mine rides around in my four-wheeler. It's literally in my four-wheeler right now.
Yeah, I can see that. But like for actual, like for me, like my experience has been that there is very minimal. If you've got a padded back strap, you're going to have recoil reduction. Outside of that, there's very little benefit between the rubber and the wood for recoil reduction. And I found that the wood a lot of times provide you a stronger grip on the gun because it's not going to twist as much outside. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain that, but it's like that rubber grip has a tendency to want to twist under firing where the wood doesn't. So I don't know. My experience. I like both, but I really like the wood for target shooting and stuff.
See, I found at least with the 357 with the loads that I've been shooting through it, it feels basically like the gun has no recoil whatsoever. And I tell anybody that shoots it, it's not going to recoil, but it will blow your eardrums out if you don't put earplugs on. So it's just a fantastic shooting gun, especially for only having a 4-inch barrel. That having the rubber handle, I think, is a plus in my eyes.
That's the thing. People pick house guns. I've had the fortune of torching off a revolver in the house at night.
Woo!
And it's not pretty. You can forget about hearing for a long time. You won't know where the perps are. And I like both steel and wood and polymer. So I'm not affiliated to either one of those either. Polymer is perfect for utility and carrying every day and carrying out in the woods. I could tell you stories how I beat the snot out of certain things. I've had stuff fall off a cliff, and if I did it to a steel and wood gun, I'd be heartbroken forever.
Yeah.
The other one, you hose it off and you're okay, as long as you don't chip the plastic. So I'm not one way or the other. I like both. It's like music. Okay. All right.
Like both country and western.
Yeah, both kinds.
Roll.
If you like me, you like it all as long as it's good.
Yeah, that whole touch and one off inside, I've made that argument. I don't know, it probably came from my dad, that the idea of having ammo capacity in a home defense gun is ridiculous. I mean, I guess during the day it'd be possible, but at night you're going to be deaf and you're not going to be able to see anything if you
a revolver gives you a blinding blast this way and that way, and if you're using full uploads, good luck, because you're not going to hear for a while. I think I was 20 minutes. My ears were ringing. So think about that. That's why I got a can on my gun and next to the bed. Because I won't even.
That's a good argument. I've actually got in my room. I've got 5 pairs of electronic hearing protection and set out in different spots in my room. And I'm a big fan, home defense wise, of having something like that, readily accessible, literally sitting right on top of your gun. The extra 3 seconds that it would take to put those on and turn them on. Not only do you get noise amplification, but you get hearing protection at the same time. So I'm actually a big fan of something like that in the house.
But you're relying on electronics. And if I'm not using my shotgun in the house, the other ones won't even wake up the wife. So if I'm in the next room or whatever, investigating with can.
Well, and even if the electronics aren't working, you still got at least some hearing protection on.
Yeah.
But yeah, with a can, yeah.
People don't think about 2 things they don't think about is being deaf for a while. And the other thing is lights. They'll put on a 300 lumen light on their pistol, and you're blinded as soon as you hit that light on a wall when you're checking something out. So use a lower light for indoors and think about your ears. Now, a shotgun won't blow your ears off like a revolver in 357 or 44 or whatever, but it'll be loud. But you can deal with it. I haven't had the privilege of torching that off in the house, though.
Yeah, it's funny, Jim. I talking about the practicality of it. The way, unfortunately, because my dog is old and she rarely sleeps through the night, but she can't stand to be outside the room from me. I end up sleeping with earplugs in. But so I'm good as far as earplugs. Now for light, I keep a light on in another room in the house that kind of shines through and back to my room. So if somebody opens up the door to my bedroom, I can see them, but they're not going to be able to see me because it's dark in there. So that's,
Well,
but I'm still going to be blinded as soon as I touch off that, because I mean I got 357 as my bed guy. So yeah, I'll be blind.
Yeah.
I'll be blind.
Well, that's a good point. You can go to the store right now and put these motion lights that only turn on when you walk by. So you can have them out in your house where you think someone's going to come in, or, you know, you situate where you are. You always want to be aware of where your family is, you know. And they have lights where as soon as you walk by, that light will kick on, and you'll know someone's walking around, and you'll see them better. So think about that. It just goes into a plug-in outlet along the floor anywhere. And then my old house, we were all upstairs, and I owned what I called the turret. I owned the roost. So anything that wants to come upstairs, I owned it. So it's just where your rooms are and everything, because you don't want to blast your family and stuff.
Yeah.
I've actually got a 6-dog security system that I would really love somebody to try to get through. That works out really well. Our pit actually sleeps in the room with my 5-year-old son, and one of the dogs sleeps in the room here with me, and the rest of them sleeping with the wife. So all the rooms are actually covered by dogs as well as firearms. So it'd be quite an undertaking to come into this place in the middle of the night. But I also live somewhere where I leave my keys in my truck 24/7, and I've got guns in my 4-wheeler. So
dogs are a great deterrent. I got a story for you. While we're talking lights and loudness and flash, there's also penetration, where people don't want to over penetrate walls and everything. Guy comes in, he's in a body cast. This is a true story. And he was coming home from work. He had the payroll, and the perps knew it. So he goes home, and they wait a while until it gets dark. And I asked him, what happened to you? He was pure white. He came out of the hospital, and he was shot up. He got shot a couple times. He shouldn't even be walking around. And the police took all his guns, even though he was defending his own home. And so he was in looking for a black powder gun, which I didn't sell him because he shouldn't have anything. Anyway, he told me he gets home, and he's in his room, and he's got a Para Ordnance 1911. I think it was 14. So he had a double stack, lots of rounds. And the guys break in his house, and he comes around his door jamb in his room and takes a few pops. And they came around to the next room and started opening up on the walls. And he said, that's when I started getting tore up. And they had penetration. They were just plowing through the walls with carbines and pistols. There was 3 guys, so I'm not sure exact guns, but I think one was like a Mac. And it makes you think about penetration. You got something to fire back that way too, you know, if they're coming through, plowing through the walls on you. So there's another thing. There's no perfect solution. That's what I'm saying.
well, I agree with you, Jim, and I've actually got I bought some of the AR-15 sand-colored magazines just so that I could use Rit Dye and Rit Dye them. And I've got different color AR magazines, you know, some with soft point, some that are M855 ball, some that are, you know, 193. You know, I've got different tipped stuff specifically for different applications, be it tracking or home defense or just plinking. So, you know, it definitely is something that people really should think about, you know, when it comes to, you know, any situation, is what you know, what kind of ammunition you've actually got and what you're going to use it for.
The main thing is you could have any kind of round as long as you know if you're lucky enough where your family isn't in harm's way.
Yep.
So both of my houses, this one and that one, no one's in harm's way, and they're going to get it. And I don't care what I can use an AK. I don't care, because
Well, the other thing is,
and you have a code. If someone's going to get some milk or something, you got to think about that. So you got to have a code, and you got to know when people are about, and that's the main thing. Then you can use what you want.
well, the other thing to consider is, like, you and I live out in the middle of nowhere, but for people who don't, you've also got to think about penetrating a neighbor's house.
Yeah.
You know, like my
That's
brother
why
lives
when
in DC,
Yeah,
and that's a conversation we've had.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's why I was talking about. I owned the roost when I lived in a neighborhood, because I'm shooting down, and
Yep.
I don't care if what they're doing in the house, as long as they're not coming at me. If they do, I'm shooting down. It's going into the crawl space, and that was a good situation. Everyone lived upstairs. It was fine. But yes, there are issues. Apartments are a big issue. So put up a lot of bookshelves and books.
Yeah, I have access. I readily have access to 4 different firearms from my bed, depending on, you know, where in the house I hear a noise. I don't trust just like one bedside gun like a lot of people do. I've got a shotgun, an AR, a pistol, and one other toy that I keep within arm's reach of the bed, just for different situations.
Fuzzy brought up the Fuzzy Fork brought up gas checks. That he hates them on pistol rounds. There's no real need for them. I don't know, powder coating. I kind of tend to agree that there's probably not a hell of a lot of reason for them. I tend to think with Magnum, 44, 41, maybe even 357. I think that there's an argument to be made for using them for long range performance. But I do agree they're kind of a pain, and if you don't have to have them, you probably should try to steer clear of them. What do you guys think?
I don't see a point for 357 Magnum. My 44 and the 41, I do. But then again, I saw Elvis shoot 158 grain cast bullets without a powder check at 1,650 feet per second on one of his videos out of a GP 100. He didn't have any problems. So, yeah, I don't know what, like those shots you made with the 41 on your giveaway. You were a happy young man, and I was proud to see that. That was too cool, man. But I don't think that's anything that I might try that next time I go to the range with my 6-inch Smith and see, load me up some good 357s like these right here with that's a 125 grain Hornady FTX hollow point. And I like Height Group. They were talking about pistol powders earlier. Georgia boys shooting 357 at 1,800 feet per second with no gas checks. So
I think it's possible, Jamie. I mean, you can, but like you were talking about, you know, if you have a situation where you have one hole that's slightly bigger than the others, I think the gas checks. Here's the thing: speed. This is my take on it. Speed of the bullet and gas checks aren't necessarily an issue. Because the gas check is not going to keep the bullet from stripping the rifling, which is what the speed is going to do. So if your bullet mix can hold the rifling at 1,800 feet per second, gas check or no gas check, that's not going to make a difference. And what you're talking about is gas cutting through pressure, which will happen at high pressures and poor fit. And I think that what you're seeing a lot of times with gas checks is they're covering up for something else. And then you also have the argument for gas checks that it provides a more uniform base for the bullet exiting the muzzle. And that's why I tend to believe that if you're going for long-term or long-range performance with a handgun, 100 yards or so, that gas check may be useful for you. But
I
yeah.
see your point. I think what you're saying, and help me sort it out in my brain. I think what we're talking about with a gas check on a cast lead bullet, and granted at the speed you're going to have to push them to be accurate at 100 yards out of a handgun, you're going to be moving them. I think what and I think that gas check is catching that gas, that pressure from that gas, and helping obturate that bullet and grab the rifling better. Is that what you're getting at?
Well, that's definitely one part of it. There's a lot of different mechanics when it comes to this. And some of this I don't exactly understand, and some of it I've heard conflicting, and I've read conflicting things on. But you got to remember, especially with a revolver, it's a sloppy process. You go through a very short little barrel that has no rifling in it, and then you go through a gap, and then you go into a funnel, and then you get jammed into rifling, and then you get squirted down. So there's a lot of little holes and little gaps in there, and I think sometimes the gas check can keep you from getting leading that you normally wouldn't get. So I don't remember. Let me see who. Somebody posted that you don't need gas checks below 2,000 feet per second. Once again, I tend to think the gas check issue, especially if you're dealing with gas cutting, isn't necessarily a feet per second so much it is a pressure issue. But yeah, you're right. I mean, until you get high, the gas check's necessarily high pressures. However, the gas check can make up for something that doesn't necessarily feel all that well, or if you may be having an issue where you have a large cylinder gap, or you know what I'm saying. So revolvers, especially, are rarely perfect. And if the gun isn't perfect, I think the gas check may help crutch that in one way or another. But I think when you're talking about a standard type gun, something that's not going to be shooting at those higher pressures, those higher magnum pressures, I think you can get away without it being gas checked, no problem. And even with those high magnum type, you might be able to get away with it fine there too, and not have any issues depending on the fitment of the bullet to the gun. It's a lot of moving parts, I know, but it's bullet casting can be like that.
One thing I think that just hit my brain is you got what we were talking about when we first started, me measuring the cylinder throats of this revolver, and you got that gap right there. You can't see it, but I can see it. I think a better revolver has less of a gap between the cylinder and where the barrel starts.
That depends, though, because sometimes it depends on the material. Because if it heats, I've seen some guns where they'll heat and they'll actually get where they're a little sticky because they don't have enough of a cylinder gap. So, you know,
everything in life's a swap off, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what it's a revolver. I love revolvers. That's like my favorite thing in the world as far as guns go. It's revolvers. But if you look at it, it's like there's a better way to do this. I got this thing spinning here and this bullet crashing through here.
That's the reason I only have one revolver, Nathan.
Well,
I love them, but they aren't the most efficient way to get
exactly
that bullet going that speed pointed in that direction. And I think
because of that gap.
Yep.
That gap right there is losing some of your propellant, your gas. Go ahead, Uncle Jim.
I'm just getting a kick out of squirting out the barrel.
Oh, absolutely. Man, I'll tell you what, when you deal with some of the leading issues that I've dealt with so far, messing with this over the years, yeah, sometimes it is squirting out the barrel. My dad had one, the worst I think I've firsthand dealt with. His 44 Red Hawk with a relatively light, I think they were special loads even. It plugged that thing right up. There wasn't any rifling left in it. And it had no idea why. And still this day, I don't know why. And the only thing I can come up with is that most likely the bullet diameter wasn't big enough. Because he was using a lighter bullet that he didn't have a lot of experience. The bullet diameter wasn't big enough to fill the chamber up. And so it just gas cut and blew lead out the end of the barrel. That's something, man. It is powder coating has made this whole thing so much easier than the old days of relying on different lubes and This is so much simpler, and leading is nowhere near as much of an issue as it used to be.
Does anyone enjoy powder coating? I love it.
Me too. Yeah, absolutely. I enjoy it.
Love it.
See, I've never done traditional lubing. I've never owned a lubricizer, so the only other I don't have one. I wanted to get into powder. I wanted to get into casting my bullets and reloading and stuff. And you gotta remember, I haven't been doing this long, so it was a no-brainer for me to just to go straight to the powder coat. I've never even used Alox. I've never used anything to lube a cast bullet except powder coating.
Now, the only reason why I would recommend getting involved in it at this point, if you ever get like a 45 Colt Vaquero or something like that, and you want to get a little bit of smoke, pan lube it. Since you get a little bit of, just kind of like for that authentic-y kind of feel to it. That's the only reason I can think of. Now, I have seen so far sometimes where my traditional lubed and sized bullets are more accurate. And that's just because I built the load up for that, I think. I think I could find a powder-coated equivalent load that might be a little bit different that's just as good, because you got to keep in mind those powder-coated bullets tend to shoot a little bit faster. So, I don't know. I don't see necessarily a strong reason to go back to traditional lubing at this point.
The Emperor finally showed up, and he's out here talking about he hates powder coating. We know better than that.
Timothy. Or Timothy PC. Yeah. Timothy PC, Emperor. Hey, changed your name, didn't you, Nathan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Why are people changing their names?
Well, I changed my name for the primary reason I changed my name is because of Google. I wanted when I first got the idea that I wanted to do a YouTube channel, I searched for the reloading room, right? And it was available. And then when I went to actually do it, it was no longer available and somebody else had used it. So I changed it to the reloading room. And the problem is whenever anybody tried to search that, Google would automatically autocorrect it in the search, and it would send it to this other guy's channel. So I had people that were looking for my channel, and they were like, man, I can't find it. And I'm like, no, you have to click that thing right there, and then it would come up. And I was like, that's just nonsense. I'm going to have to deal with this for however long. So I wanted to change it, and I like this idea. I think it's going to allow me to, I don't know, go in some different directions. Yeah, I'm going through a whole kind of rebranding change along with the reloading room all at one time. So,
and the logo too.
Yes, sir. Yep, it's going to be a whole update process. If you guys have any feedback on that, go ahead.
I do.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I like it because I think it goes kind of double innuendo there with your recaps from the reloading channel. Not only are you the press to make a bullet, but you're the press, the media, giving us those things. I like it. I think it's pretty clever.
Thank you, sir. There was that was the thought was to do is because do the weekly recaps with getting that news out, and I'm wanting to do a little bit more written work. So that was kind of the idea. Yep.
Jamie, you're so deep.
You thought of that yourself, Uncle Jim.
Nice. Curtis, I appreciate that, man. Always looking out for competition, brother.
I didn't think of that, Jamie.
I don't know what Kyle's going to change his name. For you guys that are just getting here, Amuser made me a channel logo, so I'm going to be putting that up. But I wanted to announce it and unveil it here tonight first, so I'll be working on that later tonight and tomorrow. And I think I'm dropping the SW from my name, so it'll just be JH586. And Nathan, you're right about your search issues, because the only way I could get to your channel was through my subscriptions. Go to my channel subscriptions and then go down and find it. So,
and it's not. I'm more along the lines of what Jim is. Uncle Jim, is when it comes down to quality over quantity. But I want you and my other people that are interested to be able to find it relatively easy. And I wanted to go into some other social media, so I started a Facebook page and an Instagram account. And I just thought that was going to be something that was going to hold me back, so and keep me from being able to, or keep you guys from being able to figure out what I'm doing. And you know, I don't know. Seemed like
I'm sorry. You see what Georgia Boy wrote?
What did he write?
Proto King, absolutely. Or the vice grip king. Right now, there's this whole vice grip thing because we found out that he was vice gripping his press to his table. So we got two things going on.
Well, I got to
Yeah,
defend
that's-
my buddy since he ain't here. He is.
No, you don't, Jamie.
Okay. Okay.
Hey,
Never mind.
I still love with Lusgard.
Lusgard. Nice. Nice.
If anyone's seen that video, they know what I'm talking about.
Everybody knows what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
About names, my problem is there's too many uncles. So I was on the phone with Willie and I said, how about Utah Jim? I don't have to change a thing, UJ. And he just about had a conniption. So I'm going to stick with the multiple tons of uncles out there. I do have a logo, but I don't have, I don't have any software, none of that stuff sophisticated. So I'm a napkin and a pen kind of guy. Take a picture of it type deal, which I have, which isn't shown.
That was good work, by the way. Your Reloader Network artwork, good stuff.
Oh, that?
Yeah.
Well, if you see my logo, you're going to see that there's parts of it in there. Oh, well.
I had a guy do mine because I'm no good at it either. And what's funny is he used the program that I have to be able to do it, and I can't. I'm really not very good at that. And I've actually turned my logo over to Kenny to see if he can do some animation work on it. So I'm really not very good at it, but I've had good people help me out.
Okay, this is the size of a postage stamp, and you were talking about the Reloaders Network that night is, yeah. The idea is I shoot uphill a lot, right? So I use the same thing, which was mine, so it's not copying anything. This is the size of a postage stamp blown up on a napkin. And this is a 44 mag bullet, not an earplug. Okay, you see it? Can you see it?
Yeah, I like that.
All right.
It looks like a side view of a fly swatter.
Well, the idea is it doesn't look right, but it's 3D. This is going through the U, kind of cockeyed, and out the J and shooting uphill. And I thought, hey, that worked because I shoot uphill.
I thought
That's
you just
the
took a
rough-
picture of that plastic getup that you came on air with and something like that.
Yeah, you haven't seen Bubble Boy. It's an old joke. It's an old joke. Some of the guys know it.
Jim, I like that logo. I mean, it's I don't necessarily feel the bullet. Actually, feels a bit more like a spear to me, just because it looks like one. But
Okay, you and Bacon, get over the bullet thing. This is a scratch drawing.
But no, I really do like it. That's good.
It looked like an earplug. I admit it. I said it will look like a 44 mag wad cutter when it's done. This is a rough. This is a. All right.
But I certainly like it. That's going to work out really well, I think.
Anyway,
maybe replace the line. Maybe replace the line with some smoke, Uncle Jim.
I just want it clean, and it's going in and out the U and out the J. Otherwise, you're gonna get the snow and the piss. Okay.
Well, if you add the pissy UJ on the back of a snowman, that kind of hits a lot of different things there.
Oh, geez. Now I got to get back to YouTube here. Okay. Catch up.
Yeah, Georgia Boy says uphill gym. If you want to.
There you go. But I'm always going downhill, you know it.
You didn't see what Curtis wrote, did you, Uncle Jim?
No, I'm trying to catch up here. He's been pretty shifty on here. People are laughing. What did he write? I'm not caught up. Oh, that's bad. Bad. You know, I'm going to replace Jerry right here. Now I'm lighting it off in the loading room. Okay, see that? Replacement. Right
I
there.
like the disposable idea. That works for me.
And this one doesn't tuck. It's got purpose. All right. Enough about that.
Guys, it's getting kind of late. You think we should start wrapping this up?
Yeah, Jamie, I'm with you on that. I typically we try to get done a little bit earlier, but with Uncle Jim on, I'm just willing to let you guys just kind of go. But yeah, it is probably getting a little bit late.
I don't mind. I'm just cleaning.
Just clean, you guys, just hanging out.
Well, I mean, I shot earlier, so I got to clean it.
Yeah, JCM, I agree. I would miss Jerry as well. That's a great addition to Uncle Jim's videos. You never know when Jerry's going to pop out. And the holster video was great, by the way. I wanted to tell you that the holster video was really, really good.
I don't know where Jerry came from, but it's an offshoot from Psycho, the original Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock, where Norman, I think that's where it, started. And they're going to take me away someday. YouTube police.
Yeah, I saw that Bacon posted some stuff about that on the Reloaders Network on Slack about some more YouTube issues. I haven't got through those videos. One of those videos seemed to be really, really long. Well, guys, like Jamie said, I think we're gonna wrap it up here in a couple minutes. So if you guys in the side chat have any questions or anything, let us know. I really appreciate you guys coming out. I think we clipped 20 at one point, so I'm sure that's just due. I'm sure it's just due to having Uncle Jim on. But so go around the room, and then Jamie or Rob, if you guys got any ideas about what we want to do next week, we can let them know now. But
I'm working on a video for load 3. I've got to get back to the range. I stopped midway through testing those rounds because of the chronograph issue, and that'll be coming out sometimes this coming week, I hope. And if you have ideas for topics for next week, just type them in or get in touch with any one of us on Slack, and remember to check us all out on thereloadingnetwork.com. And thanks to Mooser for doing my logo.
Welcome, brother. I wanted to tell William I'm tracking, brother. I appreciate it. It'll probably be about a month or so until I've got time to mess with it. I've still got to deal with my Creedmoor series, as well as finish off where I'm at with the Grindle series now that it looks like we're finally getting a break in the rain, so I'll be able to start filming again. And part of the problem is, like, I can shoot from 50 yards. I think my yard is about 70 yards long, going lengthwise, not going widthwise. So I've got about a 70, 75 yard shot, and I can shoot that anytime I want. But when we've got the amount of rain that we've had the last month and a half, it's just impossible to get out in the fields. I can't even get my four-wheeler out in the fields right now. That's one of the downsides around living around farming area. It's nice because I've got all the room to shoot when I want it, but the weather dictates that to a certain point. So it'll definitely be a while till I get to that, but I will get in touch with you when I do. Other than that, I'm open for what we do next week. Whatever.
Fair enough. I don't have any real ideas off the top of my noggin either right now, guys. I mean, for me, I'm still trying to finish up this room, so that's where my head's been at. But hopefully soon it's going to get to back to low development.
Where's the table? Where's
Uh,
Perk?
Well, actually, here I can see us spin you around real quick. Here, maybe we can take a look. Sorry about the light, but yeah. So the big L there, it's getting bigger.
There you go. Nice.
But that's the bench top. It's coming along. That's the sit down portion. There's also going to be a stand up portion as well. So I'm going to put on some trim Sunday, I think, and start getting things mounted. And hopefully, this is just taking so much longer than I initially expected. I really thought I was going to be like 2 weeks in and out. And some people brought this up on YouTube as if it's some kind of secret or something, or like I'm going to get offended. This was a mistake doing it this way. Like I would never, ever, ever, ever do this again. It might come out beautiful and I'll love it for the rest of my life, but it's like, man, I never would have done this had I known, one, how much less expensive options are available to get the exact same result, and two, like just if I knew how much time this thing takes. I mean, it's yikes. I would never do this again.
The butcher block got you. The butcher block.
See, I'm the other way. I would much rather do it myself and have that pride of craftsmanship than just be able to buy it and throw it in personally.
Yeah, but I mean, if I can go out, I'm with you, man. I love having that pride and craftsmanship. This isn't a car channel, but I've worked on a 67 Chevelle I've had for years. It was basically anybody in their right mind would have just junked it, and I'm all about doing that. It's just that for this to me really went past that function point. There's function and there's that pride and there's all this stuff, and it's like it got to the point where this is taking so much time and it took so much money, and the end result is going to be less than what I could have got if I just would have bought the butcher blocks. I could have built everything how I wanted and just bought the butcher blocks, and it would have cost me about the exact same amount of money and saved me a month. And I'm just like, I'll never do that again. I don't have the tools.
Remember, with all remodeling, 3 times as long and 3 times as much. Remember that, people.
Brother, you are not lying. I remember that movie Madhouse where everything was in 2 weeks, and that's how this has been the whole time. Like my girlfriend's all like, hey, when are we going to have all this shit out of the study? I'm like, 2 weeks.
I got a quick little shout out and short story. I'm a big sports fan. I always have been my entire life, and I've been a sports nerd forever. And I got into hockey in middle school. One of my friends, his name's Clayton Harden. He's actually in the Army now. But he's the one who got me into hockey. We started playing roller hockey down there in South Florida. And he was a Penguins fan. And the team that they seem to be playing year in and year out in the playoffs, kind of get through each other, was the Capitals. So, of course, since my best friend was a Penguins fan, I became a Capitals fan. We didn't have the Panthers back then, so we didn't have a Florida ice hockey team. So I have been a Capitals fan for pretty much my entire life. And the Capitals finally won their first Stanley Cup last night. They've been in the playoffs like 9 of the last 11 years or something like that and got knocked out by the damn Penguins almost every damn time. So shout out to my Caps for finally winning a cup and bringing it home.
Yeah. That's kind of big for them.
I saw people freaking out over that in the streets. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's almost very similar to not exactly the same way that like the Cubs or the Mets, were cursed, but it's felt like that being a Capitals fan for the last decade and a half. Like they've won their conference, half a dozen times, if not more, or won their division in their conference and been to the conference finals multiple times. They've been to one Stanley Cup final and lost, but just constantly roadblocked by the Penguins year after year. So it's kind of nice as a sports fan to finally break through.
Rob, I agree. I don't know about them in particular, but that whole city has been like sports cursed.
Yeah, I mean, it's been since the Redskins. You know, the '92 Redskins beat the Bills.
And
I mean, technically the '91 Redskins, but
they have one of the better teams in the National League that just cannot put it together at the end of the year. That city's been a while as far as sports go. And I mean, I don't really keep up with basketball. I don't think there is.
yeah, the Bullets or the Wizards aren't good. I mean, they're decent, but they're not championship caliber.
Never mind.
I can't say anything because I'm watching the NBA Finals right now. So I'm a fan of pretty much all sports. But yeah, almost all of my teams are Florida based, with the exception of hockey. So it's my one out of state team. And yeah, I agree with William. It was nice to see that you can get a cup. But yeah, it's kind of been fun.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. Anybody want to say any final farewells or whatever? We'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. And I appreciate everybody coming out. Jim, I really appreciate it. Sorry it took us a little while to get you on. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming out, and it was a good time.
I'll probably get the email now. Delayed.
Yeah.
Nathan, I don't know if you want to throw out the idea that we were talking about as far as alternating, or if you just want to hold on to it for now and wait, or.
No, we can talk about that. Look, so we've been talking about our guest appearances and stuff like that, and having guests on with the Georgia Shooting Connection. And what we've kind of come up with is doing it every other week. One, so that we can kind of, I hate to say stretch things out a little bit, but so that we can, keep things going a little bit longer and have different guests on. And then two, so that we can have some time and we can manage it with about 4 or 5 on us. As far as I can tell, I know of 6 people that could be on the Georgia Shooting Connection. But that'll kind of keep that every other week. It'll be just us, and then we'll have a guest or ask somebody to come on the week after. So it's going to go after this week. It's going to go alternating.
Well, you know why I'm here.
Better save the best for last.
No, you know why I came on and was allowed. I got squatting rights. Remember the Nats? Remember the Nats in the video?
Absolutely, brother. Not only that, you were my first subscriber, and so you always have that squatting rights, man. You're my first subscriber, so you're definitely in. And then visit you.
Hey, you're using G96.
Yes, I am. I am a big G96 fan for a lot of things.
Okay, let's talk first. Before we go, hang on. Dual wielding.
Well, technically, that's balanced.
Oh, we're not going after the bigger brass thing, are we?
There we go. Here, let me get the other one for you, because I got the triple threat here. I got the triple threat here, Uncle Jim.
Okay, we used to have a big war on cleaning products, and I came to work in a shop, and I said, "Hey, can we put some G96 out on the shelf, see if people like it?" We sold pallets of it once they tried it.
Yeah,
It's a little pricey. It's a little pricey nowadays, but if you want to just squirt something down and give it a quickie and back in the safe, oh my gosh, and it'll lube what you don't lube. It left. And what do you think about it? Because a gunsmith turned me on to it. And,
yeah,
I did it. I did a video. They used to use these on the power lines for tools. Then they turned it into a gun product a long time ago. All right.
Yeah, the military's actually switched to using it. I know a lot of people think that the military uses the regular break-free CLP, but that's not actually the current. It's the G96. But
really,
yeah.
Huh.
But I really enjoy it. Just in the sense that, like, I still got like Ballistol and Ezox and Croil and a couple other things. Like I use Croil to cut the ammonia bore solvents and stuff like that. And I've got a couple others that I'll use here and there, some different greases, like Battleborn grease I like. I've got a grease that comes out of the bicycling world that I'll use every now and then. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's like True Blue or something. that I use as a grease every now and then. But for general purpose gun stuff that's not specific, it just, like you said, whether you're treating or protecting or whatever, it does a good job. It does a really good job of cleaning out barrels. Does a really good job of, just cleaning gunk out of, guns. I really enjoy it. And then it does a really good job of actually staying on as a lubricant.
Yeah, I don't use it as a copper solvent, bore cleaner, or a lube in general. But if you forgot to lube, it's going to work.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I've got the lube oil.
But it's a great, just give it a quickie clean and put it back type deal. And it does it all. Once you mop it off, you're done. You're not doing 3 steps. I got a bunch of cleaning products too.
Well, and the other nice thing about it is, if you've got something with a wooden stock or something like that, if you take some G96 specifically, and I know there are other brands that can, but if you take some G96 and you rub that stock down with G96 and you put it in a gun safe and leave it there for 5 years and pull it back out, it's not going to be oily, or it's not going to be, like sticky and all that. It's going to feel exactly like it did when you put the gun in the safe. And that's one of the things that I really like about it, is it holds up.
Well, I think it says it magnetically sticks to the metal. This is what I'll spray on a rag, wipe a gun down for, storage. You're not going to worry about rust.
Yeah, we always use the silicone rag and I guess they're fishing reel rags, and spray that down with the G96 and just wipe the gun off before you put it away. That's all that goes back as far as I can remember, and I don't know where my dad got it from. But
yeah, here's the key no one talked about. It smells like eggnog. It doesn't stink.
It's called a banana rag.
Well, and that's tonight, living down here in the southeast in Georgia, if I were to use this gun and dry it out, I've got a humidifier in my safe or whatnot, but if I were to leave it laying out, within, a month or so, it would start building rust just from where we live down here. So, I have to pretty much, just based on where we live, we pretty much have to wipe everything down when we go to put it away, or you're going to be screwed.
Now, if you want a really good black blue, not a royal blue, just a black blue, G96 blue. I'll show you what it looks like. And I don't work for these people. See? Oh, yes. No. G96 blue. If you want a black blue, that's what this Dylan handle's done with. That's in a video. Sometimes when you're using a cold blue and you're rubbing it on your gun, you're going to get like a royal blue and then a black finish, and it doesn't jive. If you got a matte gun, use the G96 blue, and it'll be a nice matte.
I've seen their gunsmithing oils and lubes, but I haven't used any of them yet. So that's interesting, because I've actually got a Marlin 22. I've always got a Marlin 22 apart of some date, but I've got one apart right now that I need to re-blue the barrel. I'm probably going to put it on the grinding wheel and completely grind it down, and then or not grinding wheel, but wire wheel, and completely wire it down, and then spray it and re-blue it. So I'll probably try that.
Well, I found out about it because people kept asking over and over, and I used Brownell's products and all that in the past. My neighbor had a blue tank, so my guns really got blue. But for touch-up, this is great if you want a black blue and you don't want those royal blue spots, on a scratched up kind of gun. You want to just give it a, good quickie, looking good type deal. There you go, for black blue. End of commercial.
Well, Jamie, you got any final signing off thoughts there, boss?
Yeah, they need to leave that cat alone. That cat ain't done nothing to anybody. They're talking about Georgia Boy's cat.
Go feed a little tobacco, aren't they? Worming it?
I don't know what Georgia Boy's got in mind, but
I think Jamie had enough of us.
Yeah, it looks like he froze.
He went Mr. Roboto, and then that was that.
Yeah. He might drop out on us here in a little bit.
Well, we'll give him a couple.
Maybe.
I forgot to do the warning, Will Robinson. Warning, when I was in the bubble. Warning. You guys are too young. Too young for
Not.
that.
Not all of us are too young. I've never been a fan of that show, but I am very familiar with it. I think maybe
Anyone what I'm talking about, put a thumbs up. Warning, Will Robinson. Actually, warning, Timothy Robinson.
Robinson, yeah. I think maybe you had to be there when that show was coming out to appreciate it, because I can tell you coming into it like 10 years ish later,
No.
I was just like, this is really bad.
Yeah, that show did not age well at all.
No.
No, the clothes, everything. Yeah, no. It was the future.
Well, what got me was the very, very poorly conceived stories. Like, it was like, why is that kid out by himself? Like, just it was always so like that would never happen. Like, kind of stories. That's what always got me. This clothes and stuff, I was used to it because I grew up on a very Star Trek early 70s TV lineup, but early 70s, late 60s TV lineup. So, but yeah, the stories were just so out there.
Well, there was a lot of 60s shows that were out there.
Man, you
But
ain't
it's fun.
Star Trek is a great example of that. Like, the first season is here, the second season's here, and then like it gets weirder as it goes on.
Yeah, I mean, even shows like the original Batman, I think held the test of time better than that show did.
Yeah.
I mean, even like when I was a kid, like in the 80s and 90s, you could watch the Bam Pow, and it was still a somewhat enjoyable show to watch. That I thought aged well.
What's funny now is I catch myself, like, before I sat down here to start this, I was watching The Saint. I love the fact that Amazon now, like, Netflix used to have all these really great early 60s, late 50s TV shows, and then they did away with them all, and Amazon's picked up quite a few of them, thank goodness. Now I just need to get like Sea Hunt, a few other ones on Amazon, and then I'll be able to have like a full lineup of my old black and white TV shows.
So
the original Twilight Zones are still good to this day.
Absolutely. They're even good to listen to. You don't even have to watch it. They're well-written stories.
The guy with the shoes was one of my favorites, the gangster with the shoes. So the bum picks up the shoes off the street. Whoever wears the shoes is the guy again. And he goes back to the guy that killed him.
I don't think
That's good one. And they don't recognize him, of course. He's in a different body, but he knows everything about them. And then it just carries on. It's pretty good. They have to kill him again, of course. I ruined it for you.
Of course.
Typical.
All right, so I'm giving Jamie a couple minutes here, guys, to come on and sign off here. I don't know if he's going to be able to hop on or not.
He said he was trying to come back. Nathan, what's your being originally from the South is just painful to look at, but what's your story with the Mets stuff?
I'm from Delaware, man, and I grew up in the '80s. So
yeah, but like my wife lived in Delaware for the last 18 years because she was an Army brat, and like they're all basically Philly sports teams and stuff like that. So like, how did you end up Mets?
I grew up in the '80s, and I mean, in my opinion, if you're from that region of the world, and you saw Doc and Daryl and Keith and the kid coming up in 84, 85, 86. If you
Hershiser.
That, I was like 7 years old when they won the World Series. I mean, I was full on. And I'm just not a fair weather person, so I've always stuck with them. I'm also a Cardinals fan from living there, and I've always appreciated the Cardinals fan base. But yeah, diehard Mets, Jets, Devils. College, I'm always kind of like, I have more of a tendency to shift my allegiance in college. Always been kind of a Penn State guy, but at the same time, not super. I don't know. Out here, college football is life. So,
yeah, I'm definitely a big college fan, both Florida and Mississippi State. The wife and I both went to school at Mississippi State, but and then I grew up outside Gainesville, so being a Gator fan for quite a long time. But I think the only team that I'm not really huge for out of Florida, other than, like we talked about the Capitals earlier, would be the Dolphins. I don't really like. I'm a college football fanatic, but when it comes to the NFL, I will root more based on who has more of my favorite players that I watched in college than teams or whatever. So
That's pretty common down here, and that's how. I mean, I think it's something that the Falcons I think are cognizant of is the more players they sign out of Georgia, Florida State, the more people actually care about them because college football takes priority in Georgia. I'm gonna say in the SEC region, period. Like Jacksonville, the only way you're going to get a good fan base to come out to Jacksonville is if they sign players that become good, that come from it. So I think that is a thing down here for sure.
You know why that is?
Because of Yankees.
Because it was not until 1966 till the South had a professional football team.
Well, it's the same way with baseball, just about. I mean, what year did the Braves come from Milwaukee? 70 something, I thought.
66.
Was it 66?
Yep. Georgia boy, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, my computer crashed. Thanks, Google.
All right, boss. Well, go ahead and give your sign out, and we'll go ahead and log off here in a bit.
All right. Thanks to everybody for watching. And I still can't believe that people are interested in anything I have to say. Appreciate y'all stopping by. And I want to thank Uncle Jim for being our special guest tonight. The intro was magnificent. If any of you guys missed it, y'all got to check it out on the replay when Nathan gets it posted. I'm assuming Kyle will be back next week, and I hope Georgia Boy 44 is able to join us as well.
Oh, I'd love to see Georgia Boy. Thanks for having me, guys. That was fun.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming out, Jim. I mean, you're kind of like you're kind of star amongst well, at least amongst me, you know. So I appreciate you guys coming out. Everybody in the chat, I appreciate it. Who else hung around for the last 15 minutes of us closing off? I appreciate it. We'll go ahead and get this posted up, and we should be back next week. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
Have a good one. Hey.